Hey everybody, um, we're basically live streaming now. I'm excited, also a little stressed. This is the first time I'm doing this, so I basically decided yesterday night that I was gonna stream and had to kind of find out how to set up OBS and everything. So this is the setup so far. I'm still working on it, but it's a lot of fun. Um, I have my trusted iPad over here, so I can see your comments. I'll try to tend to them, but basically what we're going to be talking about today is going to be how to paint color keys. So this is something I've been doing for quite some time, and I always find it to be a really nice practice. So it's something that I want to share with you guys, and hopefully it's something that you can apply and use to your own art. So yeah. If I'm looking down here, it's basically just meaning that I'm reading comments. So yeah, it's not that I don't want to look into the camera, I'm just looking down here. So yeah, how about we get into it? Little nerves, gotta say, but let's jump right into it. Just in the chat before we do that, can you guys just give me a thumbs up or just say yes if things are going great and you can hear the audio and everything's working. Okay, awesome. Okay, that's great. That's great. Just getting all the answers in right now and saying that it's all there. So let's get started. Okay, let's jump over to Photoshop. All right. So basically, what we've been gonna be talking about today is color keys, and color keys are these like small paintings that are showing small scenes. The key with these are basically to try to capture mood, light, and color. So those are the highest kind of priorities with these sort of paintings, and I'm going to be doing a little demo of just how to go about them and the kind of process of making one. But before we do that, I should probably do a small introduction. Hi, my name is Esben Rasmussen, and I work as a senior splash artist at Riot Games. And on the side of that, I live in Los Angeles and I go out and surf and see friends and play music and all that sort of jam. So yeah, but before, when I was a younger student, I was still figuring out how to improve in my art, as I bet as many of you are today. So I just want to kind of like give something that I have benefited from and something that's been helpful on my journey, and I hope it will be beneficial for you too. So these are some of the color keys that I did around when I think this is around 6 years ago, and just to kind of show a bit more on what they look like. So basically it's a smaller painting. We like not really going into detail, but we're just trying to capture the mood, the scene of the picture that we're trying to create. Here's some other examples. I think these up here are some of the first ones. So like over the progression of making them too, I slightly got better and started to learn to apply more and to push it more too. And then over here, I have a last bit, a few more of them. Some of them, kind of became a bit more of a comic kind of book. You can tell some stories with it. It's really fun. And a while ago, I did this, tutorial about it, and it's been a lot of years since. So just been a new few things that I can kind of show you, and how you can make one of these your own or yourself. Also, English is not my native tongue, so there's gonna be some hiccups for sure, but it's part of the journey. So it's gonna be fun. I have over here. Just see if I can turn up the volume a bit. I can turn the. I can definitely turn the microphone a bit closer to my face. Let me just see. Okay, is this better? Is the volume better now? Okay, awesome, great.
Way better. Okay, I'm sorry about that. First time streamer, so bear with me. So basically, some of the things too that kind of happened when I first started was these were actually some of the first thumbnails that I did. So the other ones actually came later, but these were some of the first ones, and there's been a good chunk of steps that's been, or a good amount of steps that's been made since then. These are another pair of color keys, and basically just what I'm saying is that when you sit down and you apply this to your own art, expect that there's going to be a bit of a journey to it too, and it's going to take some time to kind of like upgrade them as time goes on, but it's like if you stick with it and you keep practicing, it definitely will come. So I'm just showing some of the old ones, and then comparing it to some of the ones that kind of came later. um, so yeah, I'm gonna turn this off, and then one thing that's cool with these sort of color keys too is that when we do these small paintings, we can actually take them and we can kind of like take them a step further and start to apply more detail. This is like an older piece of mine, but I still think that it's a valuable exercise and something that has definitely benefited me a lot with learning to create a scene, mood, and emotion. So we're gonna be painting one our ourselves. So let's see. This one was a one that I did the other day. I haven't been doing a lot of color keys lately, so I was doing a small demo making this one, and it was a lot of fun. And I thought, like since Lightbox is kind of going on, why not kind of like do the same thing in front of y'all, in front of y'all. Um, so yeah. Let's see. Let's turn this off, and then the first step when doing these color keys is essentially just to kind of pick different kind of color palettes and find reference that you really like and that you can kind of use. You can also like come up with the color on the go, like color picking it yourself. But when there's so much, like there's such a big library of information and different palettes and photos and everything out there, where you can basically, you don't need to reinvent the wheel every time, but you can basically use different colors, and you can take that reference in, and we're going to be color picking from a bit from all of them just to kind of like put it all together in one big color key. So let's get started. Around 2 p.m. We're going to be syncing up with Kelly Aleshire and Victor Maury, who's also working on the splash team at Riot. And we're gonna jump in, and we're gonna kind of like jump in on Discord, sit and talk together. I think we're gonna put up a Jamboard too, so if you want to come in and draw and sit out and hang out, please do. But that's on the schedule for around 2 o'clock. All right. So the first thing we're gonna do is we have a little canvas here. We have a reference, and then we have we gotta start with the sketch. And since I have about 50 minutes to kind of complete this picture, I'll have to speed up a bit, but we'll see how it goes. So first thing is going to be the sketching. I like to zoom out a little bit because I like to work small for these. It's not the purpose to kind of go into a lot of detail. It's basically just like do them fast and then try to capture a lot of energy in it too. So I'm thinking like, what if we have some sort of figure here? And let's see, I'm just checking the channel real quick. Okay, it sounds like it's all good. Sounds like the audio is still working. All right. If anything is really off, just spam in the chat. I won't be looking too much at it, but I'll look down there once in a while. So basically, I'm thinking like there's some sort of person here, and I'm thinking just like some sort of like generic story that we can kind of show, or like a story maybe we can come up with this. Let's see. What if this person is kind of being exiled from their kind of city, so we can have some sort of like bigger cityscape over here. Behind the character we have some cityscape. We have the clouds up here. So I'm gonna make some epic clouds. I really love the reference that we have up here in the corner. If we move that up there, then we can do this. Up here in the corner, like those sort of clouds are super fun to play with. So we're gonna do the same. We're gonna add some of those clouds up in the sky, and then like it could be fun if we have maybe some secondary characters. Maybe these are like some guards, and like they're kind of like following the exiled out of the city. So I'm gonna put that over there, and then behind them we're gonna add another layer. Basically what I'm doing right now is I'm stacking in order to kind of create depth and perspective. So we're looking a little bit up, so our camera is tilted up so it feels more grandiose, and then we're stacking the characters. And what that means is like I'm taking 3 elements in the picture frame, and I'm kind of like putting one closer to us, one in the middle ground, and then one further back. So this is our foreground, or the one that's closest. Our guards are gonna be the middle one, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna create some little bloopers down here, and these are gonna be the village folks. Let's see. So maybe we can even make this person take a step. Oop, I don't know, something like that. They're just waltzing out the city, and they're really happy to leave. Maybe maybe we can have a staff because like why not? Let's see, something like this. Yeah, like it. All right. So we have our basic composition kind of laid up right now. We can have some statues, something on these pillars. We'll come to that later, but we kind of have the basic composition down, and we can basically kind of start to plug it in from here. Let's see. Okay, and yeah, like basically this stream will be saved afterwards, so don't worry. If you missed the start or something, it's gonna be saved and it will be ready to rewatch it later. So what I do now is basically I'm using clipping masks, and that's all tied to this white frame. So basically whenever I'm using a clipping mask, everything that I draw, if I take a big blue thing and I draw, it can't really get out of the frame. So that's what clipping masks does. It locks every stroke to whatever is underneath. You can do this by pressing Alt G, I believe. For Mac users, it is Command Alt G. I am on a Mac, so for me it's Command Alt G. But I'm going to be using that. And then another tool that I'm going to be using a lot is the Lasso Tool. It's over here. You can also press L to get to it fast. If you see, just a few hotkeys for y'all. If you see my brush, sorry. Okay. If you see that my brush is doing this, that is Alt right click, and you hold Alt and right click, and then you drag your Wacom from right and left. So when you do that, it's Alt, hold Alt, hold right click, go right and left, and then that's the way you change the diameter fast. For Mac users, that would be Control and Alt, and then that's it. Control and Alt, and drag it from left to right for Mac users. That's it. Alrighty. Let's see. I'm gonna pick something to draw with, and then I think for this one I would like to turn one setting off. Just have that off. Perfect. I think we're ready to go in. Okay. So first thing, I'm gonna take the lasso tool here, and I'm just gonna kind of block out the foreground. So it's gonna be the stairs. We're gonna block some of that out. And then we're gonna create a color for it. I'm gonna pick some of this like nice warm grays up here. Actually, it's cold, so I'll take that back. It's gonna be a cool gray, something like that. Just make it solid first, and then we'll go in and just add a little bit of variation in it here too. There's some nice warms that's going on here too, so we're gonna get that in there too. So this is going to be a foreground, and throughout this we're going to be talking a bit about temperature. So I'll be coming back to that a bit later. But just make a little mental note in your mind that we're going to be talking about color temperature. Okay, awesome. I'm just checking in on y'all. Alright, for the next thing, I'm gonna make a new one. So basically we are making a mask here for our main character. Let's see, do something like this. Boom, 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 boom. And a little head. Boop. Okay, so now we got some sort of silhouette here. I don't know, like what we should pick. Maybe we should pick like a lighter, kind of warm color. I'm gonna do something like this. Maybe this person is, you know, like a monk or something like that. That could be cool to play with. We'll see. But we have him now down there. I'm gonna go and make another layer behind here, and we're gonna get some of these guards. And you know, the cool thing about this technique is like you don't really care about, you know, drawing a lot about the details and whether or not the anatomy is right. You know, like all that stuff is something that can come later as you refine. In this technique and this exercise basically is you're focusing on color, light, and mood. That's it. And it's kind of wonderful because when you do that, you can skip some steps. You know, like you don't have to kind of like think about like if it's like perfect perspective or if it's perfect anatomy. Some of that can come at a very refined stage later. So let's see. Okay. I don't know if we want to use a little bit of shape language or something. If we kind of like want to basically make them feel a little bit more dangerous. I'm gonna add a sharp horn, just because, you know, feels like if you touch them on the head, if you touch them right there, boop, you'll get stung. So yeah, let's see. And also, like, you know, like, yeah, these are all clipping layers. I'm basically gonna make these green, or I'm gonna make this group green, and delete some of this underneath because I already presented that, so I don't need that. But yeah, if you're struggling with color, I would definitely say that this is a great way of training it. You know, like learning to apply it is a long journey. But this was definitely one of the exercises that helped me a lot with learning how to apply color. And I'm very much like a hands-on kind of guy. So the way I've learned the most or the best is kind of like, you know, I'd go in and I'd learn about like maybe some theory behind something, and then you know, like after that I'll kind of like have to sit down and struggle with it and try to apply it. And there's a lot of years of failing, and you know, then once in a while you get one that's like, oh, that was better, you know, and then you're like, you know, like you're like, yeah, you have your little victory, and that feels great. So you know, it's the same sort of thing. It's like it's all about the journey and also like enjoying some of that process of it. So you know, it takes practice and it's going to be a lot of failing, but I feel like if you just embrace that and know that that's going to be part of that journey, it becomes easier. You don't have to get it perfect every time. You know, like I don't know anybody who's a working professional who's able to do that. You know, we fail all the time, and even after a good chunk of years now, like I still fail, and I still struggle, and you know, I feel like it's part of it. You know, some things has of course become easier, but you know, it you know, certain things does become easier over time. So if that is helpful, I hope that would be good. But I'm by no means saying that I am not struggling, because I definitely am. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm drawing the sky, and I'm trying just to use big brush strokes to kind of get down form and everything, and then I think on top, next we're going to start to slowly apply some clouds. I'm looking super much forward to the clouds of this piece. One thing too is, like, as something goes closer to the horizon, it becomes a little bit warmer if the sun is lower, so it's going to take some of that blue and I'm going to warm it up. And when I mean warm it up, it's in terms of temperature. So I'm just going to do a quick example. We still have some time. Just going to do a quick example of what I mean by temperature. So if we take 2 boxes, that's 1 box, and I'll fill that in with something, maybe green. I don't know. We'll see. That one. Whoop. And we'll take another one, and this one is going to be a cooler color. Let's take something that's blue. Boop. Okay. So basically we have 2 boxes here, and I'm going to turn all of this off for now, so we can just focus on the boxes, because this is a principle that's super handy and great to learn. So I'm just going to do this, make this a box, rep, so it has like some 3-dimensionality, and over here, same sort of thing. And it's very important that when you're drawing that you make sound effects. It's no, it's really not, but it helps when you do it. It's it always feels good. So basically, what I mean with temperature is this like if you have this, it's a brown, I guess, orangey next to the blue, then the blue is colder than the orange. Or the brown, but everything is relative, and that's the main thing with color, and why it's so hard to teach about color in such small amount of time is it's a big topic, and there's a lot to it. But the main thing to remember is the color is relative. That means that colors will be perceived depending on what's around them, with that, I'm just going to go into the temperature thing. So with this color of, this brownish color, if we turn up the saturation, we get a bit more warmth into it. So if this is a warmer light, for example, we get a little bit of warmth kind of coming in here from the side. Then we have shadows, of course, too. So if we take this and darken some of that, we can do the same thing for our shadow side for the box. Something like this, and if it's, for example, something that's blue, if you want to make it warmer, a good thing is to take the saturation and kind of move it down. I am rushing it a little bit because I'm realizing that the time is a little bit short, but we'll get there. So if you take the saturation and you move it a little bit down, basically you're going to get a warmer color and a warmer hue compared to what is up here. So this down here is a warmer compared to what is next to it than this blue. So if we take that, and the same sort of thing can apply. So let's say that there's a skylight coming from the top, and this is something that I'll do a lot, is like whatever is hitting the bottom planes, I'll make warm, and whatever is in the top, I'll make cool. So basically, whatever is the bounce light from the ground will be warm, and whatever is the lower planes of that scene will be warm, and then whatever is from the top will be cool. That skylight, ambient light, basically that is why when our sky is blue, that's like all that color and all of that actually affects the entire environment. So if you're drawing a scene in Mars that has a red sky, or San Francisco right now, unfortunately, then that will be an orange and red color to that top light. So if we take some of this and we have to make that cooler, this is a warm, we take it and we do lower the saturation. Let's see. Yes, James Gurney's book Color and Light are wonderful at kind of like explaining color and light very, very well, and it's definitely one of the places I have learned color and light too. So if we go over here to the blue and we have to make it bluer, is first we're gonna move up the brightness a little bit because it's a light, and we're gonna also move the saturation up because it is already a colder color, so we want to have some of that blueness into it. So something like that. And depending on how warm something becomes is basically how strong we kind of make it. But yeah, those are the kind of like very general concept I just want to talk to you about the warm and cool. It's something that you'll see that I use a lot when I'm going to be painting these color keys. Anyway, back to the painting.
So we're gonna be making some clouds now, the best part of it all. Let's see, some of this, and you know, like I'm trying not to be too nitty-gritty about like the cloud shape. I'll just create something that I feel is okay for now, and we can refine after, but just some big shapes, and it's like Bob Ross's happy little clouds, so we'll do something like that. Take a color over here, like that gray, something like that, and then we're gonna get some of that light in, so we're gonna start slowly to define the light of the scene. And if you press Control H, you can hide the selection, so you can still have the selection from your lasso tool, but then that way you don't have to look at it, which is quite handy. So basically I'm taking some of that and then you know, turning that so I can't see it. So we're getting some clouds in now, which is fun. You can kind of play around with it too. Like if we don't want it to be so solid gray, I should turn down that line too. Let's just see. Yes, this will definitely be replayed. So yeah, will definitely be replayed. Let's see. I believe it's gonna be saved on YouTube afterwards, so don't worry about that. You'll like if there's something you want to come back to, you totally can. So all good. I'm gonna turn the opacity down of this layer, and then I'm gonna take the clouds here, and I'm probably just gonna make them softer. I'm gonna go into blur, Gaussian blur, and blur that sucker. Let's see. It feels fine. There we go. All right. We have the crowd behind here, and we're gonna make a new layer, and this is gonna be the city. And basically, what we're gonna do here is just a principle that's kind of called staggering. So we're gonna stagger our elements. So that means kind of like, I guess, if you put something here, and then you put something here, and then you put something here, and then you put something here. I don't know if I switch to the webcam, then we can get a little bit bigger. But like you put something in front, and then you put something behind that, and you put something behind that, and then you put something behind that, and then you keep on doing that. That's staggering. You're basically building layers upon layers upon layers. So back to Photoshop. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do here with the city, and I'm gonna try to get some of that in. So I'm just gonna like layer upon layer upon layer, try to get this city in here. I'll take this one, darken this maybe a little bit. Okay, do another one. And then, you know, in fantasy style, we're gonna have a big tower back here, you know, maybe it's showing a bit of the, you know, the authority, and we're hinting at that authority that threw him out, you know, of the city. So we're gonna take some of that, let's darken some of this. So we're gonna start to create a bit of light on our structure, I guess, on this city. So we're gonna start just like defining a few of the planes here. Gonna try to stagger that up, and I think like what could be cool is like have some of that light hit. If we darken some of this just for storytelling purposes, like I want that top of the building to kind of be dark, just because, you know, like if they've exiled this person and this person is the good person, then you know, we're seeing them as evil or something like that. So if we darken it, we can kind of sell some of that storytelling in there. Get some light in here, create a little gradient. We can warm some of this up too. It's very gray. Actually, let's keep those for over here. So basically, you know, like as I'm doing this too, I am
making decisions as I go, and that's the kind of fun part of this sort of technique too. Is like you will kind of get to choose and change things and like explore the picture with it. Like it will take you down some paths and you'll see things that that you didn't expect to. Like things would reveal itself and new opportunities could show themselves too, and you're like, oh, that could be a cool idea, and then you have the freedom to run with it. Do some towers over here. Oh yeah, that's another thing. I do this often when I paint. I have set it to a hotkey now, but basically it's flip the canvas horizontal. So you can find that up here in images, image, and adjustments. And then if you go to, no, sorry, I am totally lying. There you go. Image, rotation, and then you say flip canvas horizontal. If you click that one, boop, the whole thing flips. And why did I do that is because often if you sit and you work on something for a long time, you kind of get something that's called blindness to it. That means that the mistakes in the picture doesn't pop out to you the same way. When you just flip the whole image like that, like you see it anew for the first time again, and like some things will kind of pop out and they'll speak to you, and you're like, oh, that feels off, or that feels wonky, or something like that, and then you go in and you tweak it. So that's a really nice tool, and if it's something you don't do, I highly encourage doing it. It is something I love doing, maybe a bit too much. I flip often, and honestly, I do feel sometimes it's a little bit too much, but it happens. But yeah, it's a good little trick I can recommend. We're gonna add a few clouds over the tower here, just to make it feel like it's really big. So maybe we can add some of these too. Let's see. I'm really happy that. I'm really happy that you kind of came in and just to be here today, and there's so many good streams that are going on, and Lightbox is killing it, so it's really awesome to have y'all here. Just want to say that I appreciate y'all. And it's good to I can feel I'm starting to relax a bit more, and that's often when it gets better. Just thank you. All right. So now we have some of the city in here, and I like to work from the background and up front. So basically, in the start, I was masking some of the elements of the scene out, and now I've been defining the background a bit more. So that's feeling nice. And if you start to erase some of this line, you can actually start to see our main picture starting to slowly come forward. We can take some of this, and maybe we can make that kind of like one. I think we could go and we could apply a little bit of orange, maybe. I like it. Something like that. So with the clouds too, I'm gonna go back to the clouds. I'm gonna put in that principle I was talking about with temperature. I'm gonna take some of that, and I took a warmer kind of color here, and then I'm just gonna place it in. So some of that warmth is gonna be in the lower parts of the clouds. And then what we can do is we can take some of that blue from the sky, and we can go in and we can get it on the shadow side of these clouds. So we get some of that nice cold blue in there too. Okay. All right, time for some trees. Greetings from Los Angeles.
It's awesome to see that you're. I don't know, like it's probably evening in London right now. So yeah, I'm happy that you're spending your Sunday evening um, here. Tree time. Yeah, tree time. Happy little trees, as Bob would have said it. I'm just basically making blobs with the lasso tool, and I'm gonna pick a green. Let's see. See how this looks. That works. That's okay. I'll take a darker green and get some of that in there. Maybe a warmer green. That's over here. So the cool thing about using references also like this is like you don't have to reinvent all these color palettes all on your own. Um, you know, there are so many great resources out there, and you can use that to your advantage. I think the main thing is just make sure that whatever you're doing is not a direct copy of it. So I'll just be a little note to y'all. That feels good. So we're getting some of those trees in now. We can make them a little bit bigger if we wanted to. So we, I don't know if you see, but this tree is actually behind the clouds. So I don't want that. I'm gonna take some of this and move that back, and I want the trees definitely to be in front of the clouds. Otherwise, we're kind of messing a bit with the layering. But yeah, when what's it called? We can do a bit of Q&A and just hang out and talk. At 2, I was thinking like right now it's more demo, and then at 2, I'm gonna bring in. I'm gonna be sitting with Kelly Aleshire and Victor Maury, who are 2 amazing artists too that I've had the pleasure and still have the pleasure to work with on the League of Legends Splash team. I know that right now Victor has moved on to other things. He's working on a different project that Victor maybe can talk more about if that's something that you'd be interested in hearing more about. There's still some stuff, but maybe he can talk a little bit about what it is when that comes. But yeah, right now we're basically just drawing trees, and it feels good. Love drawing trees. Okay. So I feel now we can start to think about some of the guards and the background folk. So for this, these are the crowd of the city right now. I'm gonna just take some colors. I imagine that they're locked transparency layer, so you're not painting on anything else than the mask that you already created. And I'm just gonna take a couple of different hues, and maybe some are wearing red and purple and just different things, just varying it out. Let's see. I can tell you, like, this is the first time I've been streaming, if that makes sense, and it's scary. It's a little scary because there's no going back and edit stuff, and I don't know. I'm nervous, I guess, but it's fun. It's good to kind of be out of it on I guess steep water, or what do you say, deep water? Deep water, that's what you say, not steep water. And so yeah, it feels good. Alright, and then we're gonna get some light maybe hitting them. So I'm gonna take some of this. I could also make a new layer, and we're gonna take maybe a color dodge and take some of that warm light. And see if we can hit some of them. Take the eraser here. Should probably take more of an airbrush. And just kind of lower that a little bit down. One thing too that we can do is we can create a bit of a layer behind. Take the what's that called? This brush, the airbrush, and just create a little bit more distance between them and the buildings behind them. Okay, it's coming along. Okay, let's try to do a bit of this foreground. I love painting foregrounds because you can really kind of show some more details in there, and you can have a lot of fun with it. I'll have to take this brush again and turn off the damn rotation. There we go. And get some of that in here. Actually, let's do that. So yeah, right now I'm just thinking about the shadows and kind of that light coming in. Yeah, I'm gonna draw some stairs, I suppose. Maybe this is kind of like a little broken. So, like this city has been here for a long time, so wear and tear is ought to happen. Take some of this warm color too. That's super nice. And maybe we can use that to define a bit of like a fantasy form in these pillars. I'm gonna take some of this. Let's start with a little bit. Actually, I messed up. I want some of that warm color up here. Okay. Also, like, if you're not familiar with any of my work, I should have like a little pop-up that pops up once in a while. It says Esben for Instagram, and it's definitely the platform where I am the most active on. And I share like small tips and tricks, and I show some behind the scenes of like how things are kind of done, and like the sketches and all that juicy stuff. So if you feel like you're interested in seeing more behind the scenes of like how these pictures gets made, please go ahead and check it out. It should be in the description, or just look up Esben Aleshire on the gram. Alrighty. There's also an art station, same name. There's some more splash work there. I think it's a little bit more professionally set up, but I think the Instagram is better. It shows more of the process behind all of it. So. Just sit and enjoy this. I don't really know what to say. I'm sure something will pop up. But yeah, just drawing some light on these pillars. Take some of this. Boom. And I really like, if we can, kind of like make some of this like bigger gradient of the light. So we'll try to keep him light, and then kind of like keep this to shadow. I think that could be super dope. So, oh wow, that's a little cringy. Super dope. Oh well, that happened. That's the joy of life. Alive. Now I'm just mumbling. Okie dokie. Back to it again, Esben. Alright. Here we go. Alright. Back to this guy. We can start to define him a bit. What I do is I lock the transparency again, and then we can kind of create a bit of shadows. I love that white light up here. Let's see if we can, like, maybe it's some sort of rope. That feels really nice. And then like kind of get some sort of like bigger gradient in here. Boom. so it kind of like goes together with the stairs and everything. And you know, like the main thing is like I'm not really. I'm thinking about like big shape stuff, but like I'm basically just kind of carving out the figure with the form and light and shadow. You know, I don't normally do this when it's like for a bigger piece. I would normally do a line drawing and then figure out things there. But for this piece, you know, it feels good to just kind of like get the overall shapes in and move on. You know, see how much we can define of it. But main thing is just that we're focusing on the light. So yeah, that's what we're doing. Okie dokie. How about we give this person some hands? Oh, I forgot. He had a staff at some point. The good old staff in every single picture, right? Am I right? Let's see. Alright. Get the staff in there. We can make a little bit of shape. That feels good. It's just a little bit something to kind of change up the shape of it. Yeah, I was thinking about like, you know, like if there's what's it called? Like how much of like how to make a splash I could do in this amount of time, and there's just no way. It takes so much time, and it's a lot of back and forth and a lot of things, because it's basically it's everything. It's like composition, light, anatomy, stylization. Like it's a whole thing to make one of those, and having to teach it and all that is it's not enough time, and it takes a lot of energy too. But maybe one day, you know, it is on my radar. Okie dokie. Let's see. We can give this person a hood, or we can give him a bit more of a defined head. Let's give them a hood. So I'm just gonna get a bigger shape in there, and then from there, you know, we'll kind of carve it out. Up here we can take and reduce some of that saturation, get some of that blue in. Same up here and up here. And then we're gonna have a core shadow in between. That way we're getting some of that environment lighting to kind of like take place too. Add a bit more of the environment lighting over here too if we wanted to. But basically we're starting to kind of get some of the forms and shapes in. Let's see. I'm going to do these. We have about 9 minutes left before we're switching it up to kind of more of a Q&A style and hangout. But yeah, like this is kind of like how I go about doing these small speed paints, essentially of the color keys, and it's a great way to practice. You know, like making bigger decisions, like compositionally or like with form and light. It's definitely something that's been helping me over the years, and I hope it can be helpful for you too. I definitely benefited from it, so I wanted to share it today. if you want to, and you're kind of like doing a lot, or doing, you know, a small color key along with me, or want to try it out later, please feel free to maybe throw in a hashtag or something so I can see it. I would love to see what you all come up with. I don't know. Let's make a hashtag on the fly. Just write color key Esben. I don't think that there's anything that's there, but hashtag color key Esben. I'd love to see what you come up with, and you know, like see basically. I guess what you found useful for this little demo. All right, take some of this, maybe a highlight or something. But yeah, we have the guards. They're kind of like throwing out our protagonist, and we have about 7 minutes. So now is to maybe add some juice. I forgot all about these two pillars over here, so I'm just gonna like lay them in real fast. Oop. Get that in. That was good. And take some of this. And I think what we can do is we can add a bit of maybe there's some. It's really cheesy, but it doesn't matter. We're gonna add in a few leaves in the air. You know, kind of like maybe the wind is helping this protagonist along, even though it might feel like, you know, I don't know, maybe not the best kind of colors that are picked for this exact moment. Maybe it's not an exile, because I think that would maybe have made the scene a bit more gray. But you know, with the current light that we have right now, it's definitely more on the hopeful side. We got the sun kind of peeking through, but we also do have a little bit of that overcast with the big city. So we are hinting that the city is kind of like more dark. So we got some leaves in there now. I could take what's cloudy. Just gonna take what's that called? A smudge brush, and then it's kind of like pushed over a little bit. There we go. I'll do it. He got away from jail. He's like running. He's like, fuck. No, I can't swear. He's like, screw you. I don't know if that's swearing too. It probably is. He is just running away. And trying. He's kind of jogging away. It doesn't look like he's really. He doesn't look like he's really hurrying. We can add a little dog here because you know, dogs are the best, and you know, cats are great too. We're gonna add a little doggo. Something like this, and I don't know. Should probably not make the dog green. I'll make them kind of golden. Try that. Darken it a little bit. There's a little animal here. It's maybe not a dog. I don't know what it is. It's hinting that it's some sort of. Oh, it's a shepherd. It's a sheep. Of course. See, we went on a journey with the with the picture, and all of a sudden it's starting to come together. Okay, I guess having sheep kind of makes sense. He does look like a shepherd, so we are adding sheep right now here in the last minutes of this painting. And if we really want to troll, if I really want to be a bit of a troll here, we're gonna go and we're gonna add a sheep. I can't remember what shape sheep have, but just being a bit of a troll right now. But if we put that in, come on, put it in. There you go. And we put that in there.
he's gonna be in the foreground. He's gonna be like photobombing this picture. He's gonna have a swell time. There you go. Boop. And then we gotta make 2 eyes. And a nose. Hehehe. And he's looking over here. You know. That's okay. I need to delete that layer, but just it was there. It happened. He was photobombing for a moment, and let's try to see if we can make an okay sheet in the last bit. Boop, 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 boop. I should probably look at reference, but I don't want to show my desktop or not even my Chrome because it's a mess. I have a million tabs open, and if you do that too, just want to say you're not alone. I definitely have a trillion tabs open, and I don't know, I'm always like, yeah, I should come back to this later, and sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. But you know, for now, we can use our imaginations enough to think that these are sheep. There we go. Little sheep. Sheep has the, what's it called? The shepherd and his sheeps. Alright, and his sheep. I think it's just sheep. Yeah, the gazillion tabs is real. Okie dokie. Let's see. Take some of this. Could put that down there. I think this could like be some sort of like foreground leaf. It doesn't really matter what it is. Basically, what it's just serving as right now is kind of like is helping our eye kind of travel around in the composition. So that's why there's a little leaf down here. And what it does is, I'll show you in a second after I just blur it a bit, is what it does is that it's creating a path. So let's see, creating a path for us to kind of go back into this, and then, you know, like we can kind of get steered off. But if the leaf is without, or if it's not here, just delete that and take that. Okay, if the leaf is not here, this area kind of becomes empty, and because we have the stairs, they kind of like function a little bit as a line, kind of like out. So it just leads our eye down to this corner, and there isn't really anything. So we can just add a nice little leaf, and then last little bit we can do is we can take, I think this. Let's see, what is this? Yeah. Works. We'll take that. I'll just make this orange real so I can remember. And I'll start merge some of this stuff down because I'm gonna throw a bigger blur on it. But yeah, we're wrapping up the demo for now, and let's see, do that. I'm gonna make a new one. Clear that. So we're wrapping up now, and we're gonna jump into the Discord with Victor and Kelly. Have a good time, and we're going to be doing some drawings. So the stream is not ending, we're basically just switching what we're doing. So let's see. Yeah, so that's basically it. This is the picture so far. Let's try to turn off the reference for a bit so we can kind of see it, and we can do a little color Dutch time. Take some of that, big airbrush, take some warm colors, some sort of like that. Let's see, turn it a little bit down. And then we're just gonna have a little bit of that light coming in from the side here, hitting our scene. We'll take and kind of tone it back a little bit more, but it just kind of gives that richness that we're looking for. Yeah. That's good. Take warmth. That's it. If you want to like hone in kind of like last bit of push, like this is always a problem for me. I always want to do more and more and more. But we take a brightness contrast, and then we do a layer, and kind of take
big stroke just to kind of get that directional light in. There you go. That's our piece. A little bit of directional. So I'm just taking this, kind of zooming in, so we can just enjoy it before we switch over. And yeah, that's it. We got some sheeps in here. I did not expect that, but that's our little story, and our picture from, I think that was 50 minutes of painting. But this is a quick way to generate some cool results, and it can help you kind of like brainstorm your scene and what could kind of be happening and get that feeling down pretty fast. So yeah, I will save this real fast, and also I'm gonna jump over to a small intermission, and with that intermission, the music will still going, the stream will still be going, but I'll just go in and I'll jump in on Discord to go with Victor and Kelly, and and then we'll start talking. It'll probably take about 2 to 3 minutes, so if you want to get some water, please do. But yeah, I'll see you in a bit. Yeah, still here, just getting all of this set up. Still figuring out how this is done. I need to grab Kelly to see where we're gonna hang out in the Discord. Boom, 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 boom. Basically, well, we're just gonna be talking, so it's a way for our voices to intersect, and we can kind of like all hear what each other is saying. So I'm gonna try to see if I can kind of get in here. 1 second. Yeah, just gonna jump to intermission while I figure this out. Yeah, it'll probably take 3 minutes. I'll see you in a bit.
Oh, oh, hey, hey, there he is. How'd it go, baby?
Okay. Yeah. Did the color key, so that was fun.
Nice.
I was watching for a little bit. I want to
Awesome.
go back and watch the whole thing though.
Coolio. Yeah. How's hanging out in here?
We
See
crop
the-
the thing out and put room for Esben.
Yeah. It'd be cool if you could extend the canvas. I wonder if that's possible.
Because I can't shrink my guy, otherwise the line weight will be way too small. Okay, let me see. File.
I think we can just free transform your layer.
Yeah, but then like the line, I'm already at like the 1 point line at this size.
I think there's a way to free transform is Shift T.
Okay. Great. Yeah.
Look, now his whole lower body's gonna fall in this hole now.
So is there a
Okay,
prompt,
now I'm the big man.
We were just basically creating fighters for to fight each other.
Okay.
So like choose your fighter kind of thing.
That sounds good.
Victor's has the hand, like a frog hand and a gun hand, so that's very intimidating and powerful. So we have to devise a way to counter that, because I don't know how we're gonna manage to ever survive.
Let's see. Yeah, I'm just. That sounds good. I'm just gonna hear with the chat just to see if they can hear both of you. So just
Sure.
to make sure, like, chat, can you hear Kelly and Victor in the background? Can Victor and Kelly try to say something? Keep saying something.
Say something.
Say something.
You won't.
So they're saying,
What's
yeah,
the
they
verdict?
sound they sound great. I think it's just me that sounds low.
Oh yeah, I saw some people complaining about that earlier, but other people were saying that you're fine. So
Okay. How is the
people
audio
just
in
gotta
the
turn
room?
up that volume.
Yeah, it's
good.
It's tricky. Okay. I am sitting here with the brush presets. How does this work?
Oh yeah, it's
What's-
tough. I basically
what's-
just using round brush.
That's okay. What kind of brush did you make? What's the density and opacity?
So it has density on and it has size off. That's kind of the best I got it.
Yeah, same.
Size off.
Will
Ooh.
Jessica Oyenhart stream? I don't think so.
I
Queen
don't know.
Jess.
I'm not sure what she's up to this
Great.
weekend.
Yeah.
Was she in the expo?
Nothing announced officially, I don't think. Could be wrong. Yeah, Jess is awesome. I miss Jess too. I think she, well, I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna stop speculating on things that were released. But the last splash I saw from her looked really good.
There's a question too if Ete will join us. I don't know. Not that.
I haven't talked to him, but
We haven't talked to him either.
He's still on Valorant, right?
Yeah, he is. He is.
Has Valorant been released? Is that NDA?
Valorant is.
better check Google.
Yeah, it's been a while. There's a question here too. Do you still use the color pick method to solve colors for your riot splash arts? No, not really. I would maybe do it for the sketch in the start. I can kind of like play around with finding some good reference there. But after some of that mood and everything is laid out, I kind of like steer away from it and then just like control the colors on my own.
All right. I need to take this guy to the next level.
Yeah,
There's
man.
a- yeah.
What do I
There's a
gotta
question-
do? Let's see.
There's a question for you here, Kelly.
Go ahead.
People are like asking. There's like it basically says so. Esben's on League, Victor's on Arcade.
What is Kelly working on? Do you want to provide an answer to that?
Yeah, I'm also on League. Is that the question? Like what
Yeah,
project I work on? Yeah, I'm working on League of Legends on the Splash team with Esben. So just jamming on the splash arts.
Totally. Kelly was the one who did the fiddlestick bass too. And
Yes.
yes, High Noon Lucian, all that good stuff.
Yeah, High Noon Senna
Oh yeah, oh man.
What's you guys' favorite splash that you've done?
and Lucian Senna. Mine is definitely Fiddles. I think that's probably why it's one of my better ones because I really
Yeah.
loved it.
I can tell. It's just so next level. What about you, Esbo?
I don't know. I mean, I really like Jinx and Yumi, the Valentine's one.
Oh
Just-
yeah, that one's fun.
Just because it was like so different and really fun. I don't know. What do you think? Which one is the best ones?
Yeah, I like the ones where you have like more emotion. Like I always come back to Snow Day Graves. I don't know if it's like the best technically, but it has
So
such a
wholesome.
good feeling. Yeah. I think in terms of technical, wait, what have you done? Let me pull it up. I really like the Vi. I know that you like we didn't get to do exactly what you wanted on that one, but I really like that one. The Project Vi.
Oh yeah.
There's a question here.
The Sona one came out nice.
Thanks, man. I had a hard time with that. I was struggling a lot, and I don't know. I wasn't fully happy with it. But
Ah, Warwick. Yeah. Because you play Warwick. Anytime someone gets to paint their main, it's awesome.
Oh, the lunar one.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Yeah, there's like yeah.
thanks. Sorry, I'm like really nervous for some reason. You guys are holding it together. Really
Breathe,
nice.
baby. All right. Let's take 3 deep breaths together. All better, baby. That's how we do.
Oh, yep. It's hard drawing in.
Oh, I haven't been
notes.
reading my comments.
Yeah, there's one here. If I remember.
I
Gene-
love your guy.
If I remember Gene Go, yeah, of course, Gene was awesome. I was sitting next to Gene when I first started.
Miss Gene.
Miss her live.
This is my guy's idle animation. Can you see that moving?
Oh, nice. Oh no, I don't see you moving him. Damn it. I just see your
Wait.
cursor moving.
So, okay, so it only updates
Oh,
when I
yeah.
click.
I'll just take a quick second to see if I can do anything with my mic. 1 sec.
Are people still complaining about it? It sounds fine.
Hey, you sound good for me.
Yeah, we're using Magma Studio, but it's really cool. I think you would really love this. It's like paint
Oh,
shop.
we gotta get Bo in on this.
Yeah, we can just invite Bo in. Oh, Esben sounds better on Victor's stream than he does on his own stream.
Yeah, I have that effect on people.
Here, I'm actually gonna add Bo to this.
Yes.
Bo is also a splash artist. Hold on, Bo. Let me send this to you.
Yes, get in here, Bo.
Oh, I sent it on Facebook.
I'm just gonna try changing the,
cool. He's
the
on.
microphone real fast. See if that works.
Okay. Hey, Bo's here.
Hey, Bo.
Oh wait, there's also some other person here.
The stranger.
Oh, people can see our link, so people who are watching can just join.
Oh, that's probably on me. 1 second.
It's visible on Victor's stream.
Oh, is
Victor,
it? The link?
Yeah.
it's
Where?
you.
What? I didn't do shit. I'm just sharing the
Oh
drawing.
man, look at this guy. He's totally like plugging himself. Look at that.
Damn. Wait, I did not share the link though, right?
Is the microphone better?
It's just visible in your stream. Like people can see it visually, so they can type it in.
Oh, at the
Okay.
top. I see.
Yeah. I'm not sure if there's a way to like boot people. Oh wait, I can do kick from all layers. Boom.
Oh, oh. I'll do
That's a boot.
this. Do that.
I can't hide his layer though. Wait, can I delete this layer?
You could ask kindly for him to leave.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Boop. Okay. Found a way to hide it a little bit. So
And there's
Let's see.
another rando in here. Let's see. Yeah, that's a good point. We should have.
You're getting sabotaged.
it's the best way of sabotaging now.
Does that mean we made it?
I guess so.
Uh,
So
let's see.
maybe I can make a new
Oh.
one and then we just hide the link. Or do we just keep going?
I think we just keep going.
We do have a
Let's see.
flood of people coming in.
Do we? It's
Yeah,
like
all right,
everybody's
might as
like,
well. Let's just.
yeah.
All right,
Sorry.
let's just make it open. Yeah.
Join in, folks.
Why not? I like your guy, Esben.
Thanks. I'm just
It's
that's
like a really
my...
buff Krillin.
Totally. Man, I love Dragon Ball Z. That was one of the
Same.
main things that really got me into drawing.
I think that's how our entire generation learned to draw, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. DBZ. Lots of anime. I was also a Nintendo kid. I was all about
Nice.
Nintendo stuff.
What were the big Nintendo games back then?
Mario, Zelda.
Yeah. Smash.
Was
Yeah.
Pokemon Nintendo? Am I stupid?
No, that's I believe
that's-
Game Freak.
Game Freak, that's right.
But there was
Or
the
something
Game
like
Boy, at least for which is Nintendo, right? So, kind.
Yeah, it was on a Nintendo console, but
I see.
Yeah.
Oh, but it wasn't by Nintendo Studios.
Right.
Okay.
Um,
yeah,
Just
go
gonna
for it.
ask-
Just be respectful, you know.
just gonna ask the chat if there's any, since we got Victor and Bo and Victor here. Bo, Kelly, Victor. Sorry, my mind is like, all over the place. If there's any specific questions you guys got for them, I'll make sure to just send it their way.
Pain.
Alright, this is my tight line art for. I need to give this guy a name.
So there's a question here. Can you guys tell us about your art journeys? I think that's a good question. Who's want to start? Kelly, do you
Art
want to start?
journeys, yeah. Do I want to start? Okay, sure.
Please start.
He wants me to start. Yeah, I'll start. So,
Thank you.
my art journey was kind of interesting. I started as really wanting to be a concept artist, and so I worked really hard at that. I was like basically started in high school getting serious about art. I was doing like big charcoal drawings, and I ended up getting like a small scholarship for a college in my home city called
Nice.
Columbus College of Art and Design. And so I went there for illustration. It had a kind of like an older curriculum, so it didn't have a lot of like, it didn't have game design or entertainment design. It wasn't like really designed for that sort of industry. It's more for like an old school style of illustration, like a lot of book covers and children's books was kind of like a big thing from that school. There are a lot of people doing that kind of stuff, and a lot of people doing advertising. So I ended up getting my illustration degree there, and so I ended up doing a lot of learning in the industry itself. When I got my first job at a little studio called 10 Cent Boston in Massachusetts, and we were working on a couple games. I worked there for 2 years, and I did a lot of learning there. But I actually ended up starting there as a UI artist, and it was kind of like a perfect storm of like what they needed. I was like a gamer who was really focused on painting and drawing, and they wanted like an illustrative user interface, like a la World of Warcraft or something. So it happened to work out, and my friend worked there, so that was kind of
Oh,
like my connection to the studio. What's up?
oh, sorry, I got disconnected.
I think you can just rejoin. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of my learning I did on the job, and I did a lot of painting in the evenings, like just kind of trying to keep my skills up and try to get a lot of mileage, because I kind of learned early that the art journey really just requires like a ton of consistency and like just drawing all the time and being kind of almost insane about it, like how much you draw, because you just have to do a ton of drawings, and however you can get yourself to do that, whether it's by really enjoying the process of drawing, which I encourage everyone to try to find like that for you, like what is it about drawing and making art that you really just love, and what can make it almost meditative and calming and peaceful for you, because honestly the entertainment industry is a very stressful time. Like production timelines are really insane, and a lot sometimes, and the expectation on you is very high. And so if you can train yourself to be able to just get in the zone and work and like be meditative about your process, then it's going to be like such a better time, and you're going to also get farther and do more work, because your drawing can be like a place you go to kind of unwind or meditate. So really recommend trying to approach it that way. But yeah, I ended up working at Riot after a year of freelancing, because I had gotten laid off my first job that I mentioned, and went back home to Ohio for a year and did some remote work there, and from there I just ended up working at Riot on their user interface stuff first, and then eventually transitioned over to the Splash team. And it's just been a ton of learning there. Like I've learned so much from the people on the Splash team. Like I learned a ton from Victor, learned a ton from Esben. Both of these guys have taught me a ton. Learned a ton from Bo. He was actually a really close mentor who was really helping me with my painting technique. So big props to Bo, and he's in here drawing with us. So hey, Bo. And yeah, does somebody else want to talk? I've been rambling. Sorry.
My shit kind of froze. Okay, I think I'm back. But I can't access my old layers. Do we know anything about that?
Can you just find it and click it and claim it?
So they're like grayed out. My old layers are. So like my sketch underlayer turned back on for some reason. It's not the end of the world.
I wonder if there's some way to reclaim. Oh, Dan's saying to double click the gray layer.
Double click the gray layer.
It says that one of them belongs to you.
Oh, I see.
Oh, but someone else claimed your under thing.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah. But you can right click it and kick them from the layer, I think, and then reclaim it.
So the only problem is it like turned my under sketch back on, so now there's no point to my finished line drawing.
Well, you can claim the under sketch, right, and just turn it off.
Yeah. Is it this one? Yeah, there's one that I can't click on. Huh. It doesn't really matter. I don't want to kick people out if they're drawing.
Okay. Well, do you want to take this opportunity then to tell us about your art journey?
Sure. So I've always been drawing. I think I knew I wanted to turn it into a career around the time that I saw like Toy Story and Princess Mononoke. It's like, okay, well, animation's clearly the shit. All right, people are like fucking with my layers now. So
I think only
And
admin
I-
can kick people off a layer. Okay, so it's me. I'm admin. So let's see
can you just delete my underlayers? Because now there's like a double.
which one. Do you know which number they are?
It would be like under the blue mask, under layer 11.
Okay.
But I'm not sure which ones are which at this point. It's gotten a bit chaotic. Thank you. That was it.
I didn't do it. Someone else did it.
Well, whoever's in control of the undersketch, if you could take a second to either erase it or clean it up. Otherwise, I can't draw. Thank you.
Nice.
Perfect. Appreciate that. But yeah, I was born in France, so we moved to the States when I was 7. Let's see, move this here. Went to school for art, but we didn't know what that was, so I accidentally went to a fine art school, which was not it. And then I went to Ringling College, which was more like entertainment design and illustration. Originally, I went to school for animation, but then I kind of burnt out on it once we hit the 3D aspect of it, and so I just switched over to illustration. 'Cause I didn't realize that was a job before. And once I realized, like, oh, you can like paint magic cards and stuff like that, I was like, that's what I want to do. Then I've done all sorts of stuff. I've done like t-shirt design, 2D animation, splash. Now I'm doing concept art. I did concept art for Wizards as well. And yeah, did splash for 3.5 years with Kelly and Esben, and now I'm on Arcane LDR.
Yeah, man. That's awesome. I guess
Yeah.
I'll go next. Where to start? I guess. Well, a fun little fact was I worked in a zoo, cleaning toilets when I was young. You know, as part of the job, kind of like making sure that the facilities were clean. Yeah, it was fun. But other than that, it's been pretty good. I started my art journey around the age of. I mean, I was always drawing as a kid, and I wouldn't really pay attention much in school. I'd be drawing a lot. But I started around 18, where I decided and found out that art kind of was a thing you could do, and at that time I wanted to be a 3D generalist, a modeler, and I went to this school
Really?
called the Animation Workshop. Yeah, I went to this school called the
I didn't know
Animation
that.
Workshop. Yeah, I went to this school called the Animation Workshop.
I don't believe you.
And-
Wait, Kelly, can you help me out?
Yeah, what's up?
I think another person signed on to the layer.
Oh, okay. Keep going, Esben.
But yeah, so I went to the school called the Animation Workshop, and I applied to be a CG artist, which stands for Computer Graphic Artist, and it's basically a 3D generalist. And I didn't get in the first time; I was actually rejected. And then the second time, when I applied, a year later, I got in. And in that year of waiting time, I took this very traditional. What's not online? This traditional course in figure drawing, and then I got in the school after that. And then after 1 year in the school, was when I found out that you could kind of do concept art, and that's when I made the shift. So while I was in school, I was being taught a lot of 3D, and when I would go home after school, I would be practicing. Illustration, and I was really lucky and fortunate to have other classmates that were really awesome with 2D too. So I learned a ton from them, and yeah, and then I was fortunate enough to land an internship, first one at Atom Hawk on my second year, and then after that I got an internship at Six More Vodka in Berlin, and then I went there, was there for almost 2 years, and I learned a lot, and then after that I started co-started a company together with a good friend of mine, and yeah, and then that was going on for a year and a half, and that was around the time where Riot kind of basically was interested, and that happened. So I've been with Riot for a good chunk of time. But yeah, that's kind of been the journey. Been very fortunate to have some of those opportunities made possible.
That's awesome, man.
But yeah, 3D artist. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
I think
feel
that
you.
was I think that's the tightline one, and then this is the sketch one.
Oh, so you may leave this one on.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just sorting through his layers here. I'm kind
Sorry,
of booting
I
some people off.
Yeah, I shouldn't have made so many.
That's okay.
Can I merge them or something so I'm not like encroaching on everybody's layer space? Just so complicated at this point.
Yeah, I think the problem was just that your layers got like
Yeah.
disowned when you left. So I'm just trying to find. I can actually assign layers to people. So.
Oof.
There's a lot
Sorry,
of people
gang.
here.
Still,
It's cool.
it's a new
Okay,
new
I found
software.
your,
So.
found your
There's
shadow
one.
layer.
Jesus Christ.
There's a
Oh my
question
God.
here, if you guys got time. It says, question, do you have any advice for people that are starting a little older?
My advice for that one would just be don't be discouraged. Like, I get really sad whenever I hear people say that it's too late for them to get in. I don't feel like that's true in any way. Like, I know that I've never discriminated in artists based on age, and nor should anybody. And as long as you have the means and the will and the passion to pursue it, like, I don't see why not, you know?
There it is.
Oh my God, he's back. I missed him. Okay, should I merge all my layers now, or is he gonna come back again?
No, I figured out how to control all the layer stuff, so you have
Okay.
control of all your layers again.
Thank you. God,
Yeah.
I
Okay,
can't
so
be
this
hurt like that again.
This can be managed. Okay, so Esben, back to you.
In terms of being too old for it? I don't know.
Is that what we were talking about? Sorry, I thought you were in the middle of talking. I'm a little scatterbrained, I'm not gonna lie.
All good. There's a lot of stuff happening too, so it's a little tricky. I don't. Yeah, I agree. I think it's I think honestly, like there's also like there's a lot of focus on landing a specific job, and like it can be hard. Like I'm not gonna say like I think that the industry is definitely it's a big industry. It's a small industry, and it's a lot of people that want to get in. If that makes sense. So I don't think that I think going into it knowing that there's other people that really wants to work with this too, and the competition are going to be rough. Is definitely something that's good to know when going in, especially like now with the internet days. Like you can be all over the world and you can do this, and that can be a little scary. I definitely know that like seeing new talent kind of come up to, I'm like, whoa, like people are so much younger and better than I was when I started out at 18, and that's just something to keep in mind too. Is like you will need that willpower and that passion that Victor was also talking about for like especially if like you have like dreams of a specific studio or something like that. Um,
Hmm.
I,
It's true.
I do think that it misses the point a little bit, which is like like if you do art, like I think the most important part is that you're keeping some of that fire alive for yourself. Like I think both Victor, no, Kelly and I were talking a bit about yesterday. Um, that Kelly was in a in a meeting with others, and there was somebody who said like that meditation is really drawing is really is kind of meditative,
Hmm.
and I think that that's really when it's best. Like when there's that sort of like stillness and you're doing it, and there's a calmness to it, and time and space just kind of disappears. I think that
Yeah.
that's the main thing. Like to kind of keep alive. I know to like I burned out several times, and it just comes from
I'm burnt out right now.
yeah, so
Yeah.
like it's I don't know. I think that that's the main part, honestly. I know people who have tried to like uh, make a career, and just like some like very early in the process were like fuck this, like like they were like this is kind of like ruining my love for art, and a few people actually completely stopped, and I felt that that was like really a shame because it's like it was something that they
Hmm.
really enjoyed doing, and I just
Yeah.
sometimes when we put those kind of like requirements on, we need to have a career of it or succeed at it. I think it sometimes puts so much pressure that we sometimes can forget about enjoying it, and I think
Hmm.
that's an important part to keep alive, even if you go down the path of wanting to make it a career.
Well, it's why this is so awesome, because like this is exactly that. This is just for fun. This canvas, um,
Yeah.
just like playing with your friends, like creating a fighter, creating a story, inviting everybody to join in. Like, you need to balance this kind of stuff with the professional stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to point out that people should be careful when asking me for advice, because I'm operating under the assumption that the world is going to end in like 5 years. So my take on things is sort of like just do whatever you want, like, because it's probably not going to be around pretty soon. I don't know. I have a hard time imagining like companies or money sticking around when the world is on fire. And then we'll go back to drawing on cave walls. It'll be chill.
I think like some of my speculation about that subject would be, um, I feel like everything in art is just like everything else in human progress, where it's like it's built upon the things that came before it, and so I feel like with that concept in mind, the way that you would be able to create some new art that has never existed would be to just learn all of about what all that has. Sorry, I'm fumbling with my words. Learn what all has existed before, and see what's constantly happening all around you, and then learn from those things and build on it. It's kind of a simple idea, but there's nothing about like being older or being a certain age or being like the chosen one or something. Like there's nothing really involved with that kind of with those ideas. There's no need to have some special like gift, or some special property about you. It's just a matter of like of learning what is out there, and learning how to break those things apart and understand how they work, just like any other thing in human progress. Like if it's science, or if it's technology, if it's medical technology, all of those people who are the hot shots that are showing up, and like they're just building on what other people have created, and like you can do that at any time in your life. You can just start learning from others and building on what they've created, and I think that's a really good way to think about it.
Something kind of funny I was thinking about in regards to like the age question or the young hotshot artist thing is like that really only lasts like maybe 5 years max. Like when you're 20 and you're like working in the industry and you're like hot shit, yeah, like 5 years later, like now you're 25, now you're old. So it's like I don't know, maybe it's fun for like that phase of your life, but then everything's always changing and the context is always changing, and like whatever victory you feel at any stage in your life is pretty short-lived, and then you have to keep evolving and keep figuring out what the next step of your life is. So yeah, it just really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, there's something about like
oh.
going through and trying to accomplish and like the things that you want to like that you're setting out to do, and then there is almost like a depressive period, I think, at least for me, after I accomplish something where I'm like, well, I worked really hard for that, and now I need to find a new thing. You know, it's
Yeah.
that thing is not giving me energy anymore. Like I can't rely on that to give me meaning anymore.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's a very good point. Yeah, you derive energy and motivation from your goals for the future, not necessarily your current life situation. Because
Right.
once you get used to it, it no longer carries that energy for you.
Yeah. Esben, were you gonna bring up a question or something?
It's all good. I like that we're riffing a bit more on it, so
Sorry.
no worries. No, it's all good.
Just staying organic.
Yeah, that's good. No, I think I don't know. I kind of have to talk maybe a little bit about what's being touched upon too. Like I like went into this weird period after kind of like joining Riot, where it was a big dream for a long time, and I felt kind of like I loved it for the start, and then after a while it kind of became you know it kind of became, I guess, just every day, but also like I kind of felt like I was missing a target or a name or something, and kind of like figuring out what then to do was interesting. And I think that we as humans are kind of target-driven, what's it called, beings, and then at least for myself, kind of like going without having anything to aim at was definitely super hard, and something that kind of tore me down in the longer run. I think it's better now, definitely, like having to kind of like set new kind of goals for oneself, and it doesn't need to just be career. It can just be like, you want to learn cooking or something like that. Like it's not having anything like was really tough on me. But I can't speak to other people. But I think that was something that
I feel that.
Yeah, you constantly need to reinvest in yourself, basically.
And sometimes it's hard to see the answer, or it's hard to like even see that you need a new thing, right? Like sometimes you're just like, well, I thought I was supposed to be happy, but here I am sitting here. I have everything I thought I wanted. Now what?
Yeah, now what is the big question.
So yeah, just always keep pushing. That's just, and I think Esben hit it earlier too. Like take that time for yourself and really enjoy and take the time to appreciate what you've accomplished, because it's actually hard. It actually takes effort for me to do that. Like I have to set time aside and specifically make myself do gratitudes and appreciation. Like it's very important.
I feel like it's something that I am fairly good at least compared to other people I've interacted with, is just like enjoying where you're at right now and like enjoying the fruits of your labor. Like I think I stopped pushing as hard artistically a couple years ago, so that I could enjoy like my relationships, my independence. It was the first time I had like my own place to live. It was the first time I had money. First time I was like taking care of my health. And so like other things took priority over art. And I'm glad that there's other things going on. And now I'm like working to balance and incorporate those things back together in my life, like have a balance of all the things. But even though I got really good at art and like got really far really fast at that, a lot of things suffered for it, and taking the time to address those things I think is a really positive thing in my life.
Yeah.
Because like what's the point of being really good at art if you're depressed all the time, for example, or if
Right.
you constantly have back pain, right? Like think it through. Like you need all these things in order to actually enjoy your life.
Yeah.
So you can't just prioritize just art.
Yeah, I almost think of it as like, of course I'm gonna bring up wizards, but like an evil wizard who
This is
has
the
traded
place.
his soul for like ultimate power, right? Like you have to ask yourself if it's worth it sometimes, because, you know, maybe you have to trade a little bit of your soul, but you gotta balance it. You really gotta pay attention to your like soul wallet and like really pay attention to if you're burning out, you know. That's kind of how I think about it.
I think.
What's the next step for you guys in life? What have you guys been thinking about? I'll give you an example. Like for me, I think I'm scheming. I wouldn't call it planning yet, but I'm scheming about
Scheme.
I'm big scheming. I'm trying to figure out how to take a significant amount of time off so that I can do a big personal project. Because the last time I did a big personal project was, I would consider that my senior year of college, because by then I'd already accepted a job at Riot after my junior year. So I basically had a year to do whatever I wanted, right? And that's when I did the Little Prince character designs. And I had such a blast that year. And it's when I did the Seven Deadly Sins as well. So I'm like, man, I would love to see what Victor can do in a year now, you know, like at whatever age I am, 28,
Yeah.
with my new skills. If I just had the freedom to express myself, what would come out of my heart? What would I want to talk about? What are the experiences I've had that have marked me? But I feel like I can only really do that if I set that space aside. Like I can't imagine trying to do that on nights and weekends. That's not what I'm trying to do. I want to really
Right.
just focus and delve deep emotionally into what it is that I want to say.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to do that. Plus, you know, like I mentioned before, since I'm not overly optimistic about the prospects of the human race, I'm like, it's now or never.
It's a good motivator, yeah.
Yeah.
That kind of reminds me, I remember we were daydreaming once about like going into the mountains for a year and just playing D&D. If you remember
Yes.
that?
Yes. Okay, this is the idea I had. I don't know if I told Esben about this, but I had this idea of like making so much money that I could afford like 5 of my best friends' time for a year. So
Just
we
pay us
go,
full time.
yeah, just pay you full time so you don't have to worry about money. Take us into the mountain to a beautiful place, and alternate playing D&D and painting what happened in the D&D session. So like one day you would play
Yes.
D&D, take notes. The following day or for the rest of the week, you paint your favorite scene from that D&D session, and at the end, you publish a book with the whole written D&D thing plus all the illustrations from all the artists.
Nice.
So it'd be like
That's
Critical
awesome.
Role plus, but with artists. It would just be
Yeah,
freaking
yeah.
sweet.
Oh man.
That sounds awesome. Yeah. I would
Oh,
love
when you hit that lotto, let's talk
Yeah,
about
dude.
stock, you know what I'm
Oh my god. I don't even make enough money to pay my own time off.
saying? We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Kelly, do you want to go?
Yeah. What was the question again? What was the prompt that we were?
What's your next step? What are you thinking about for the next step of your journey or your life or your career?
Right. I'm kind of in that spot right now where I'm like not too sure. You know, I like the idea of like of being able to kind of access my own creativity, like Victor mentioned. Start figuring out more what is important to me, you know. And I think that's definitely going to start with just trying to find a personal work routine. Very similar to what you're saying, you know. I feel like realistically, I would try to fit it into like my normal day where I'm like working on something on the side and really trying to stoke the fire of my own soul, which
Wow.
is kind of what we're
That
talking
was a
about.
sentence. Love it, love it. Continue.
So, you know, I had a few personal projects that I was thinking about a lot. Like I had a comic idea that I was really I put a lot of work into, honestly, but I put it into the actual script writing. I was like learning how to write a script. And that
That's
was
right.
really
You were working on a comic for a while. What
Yeah,
happened
yeah.
to that? I was ready. My body was ready.
It just kind of, I just like, I couldn't, I was like sitting with it for too long. I was overthinking it. I was being too precious with it. And I started just locking up, you know. I think that's like a big problem with the way I'm like managing my own like personal work is like being too precious with it and putting too much pressure on myself to make it good. And that's like, I always have a problem with perfectionism, and that's something that, you know, mindfulness meditation and, you know, all of those kind of techniques and self-love techniques are really good at helping. And I think that's something that a lot of artists struggle with, because I think they say, what's the saying? Perfect is the enemy of finished.
Uh-huh.
And I have a lot of unfinished work laying around. So I really recommend trying to face that demon for anyone listening, like, because it's really important, honestly, being able to be happy with something that is maybe not as perfect as you feel like it could be, you know, and you're just picking your own work apart. It means that you can sit on your work for too long, you know. You have to like strike that balance because you want to create good work. But
Right.
go ahead, sorry.
I was gonna ask, did we start at around 1?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we started at 2, I believe, didn't we?
2? Okay, so it's taken 55 minutes for someone to start drawing a dick. We've got a nice PP from can number 17.
All right. Great. Yeah, I can just boot him off that one.
Thank you for your time and your service.
He made a cool graffiti up here, so I was happy that he did that. But then yeah, let's not do that, please. Thank you for erasing it. I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, so someone in the chat is saying that is Twitch bannable, so we do want to avoid that so that we're not shut down entirely.
Please don't get us banned.
Oh, it's back. Thank you,
Okay.
Ken.
He had to show it to
don't get
erase
me wrong.
it.
I appreciate a good ween as much as the next guy, but let's just do that in our own time.
Yeah.
These are some very impressive sketches, I gotta say. The one on the right side, like, how is that possible?
That's awesome, yeah. The color flats.
Yeah, what? It's beyond.
I like that stylized cat.
Yeah, the
beam.
cat looks great. That is an awesome drawing. I also like the little Timo night that's going on.
I think Horace is in here too.
Nice.
Horace. Oh, I just realized this is Lash. This graffiti says Lash.
Oh, nice.
It's one of Esben's fans. Your rabid fans are coming in to our stream.
Oh, it's just hanging.
Thanks for sharing that, Kelly. Though I didn't mean to interrupt you. That's I think you made a very good point, and I think it's something
Oh, no
we all
worries.
kind of struggle with.
Yeah, it is. You have to find a balance, right? Because, or at least try to find a way to separate yourself from your art. Because, you know, I think a lot of. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, you know what I think it is too is I think it comes down to a question of time as well, because if you had a lot of free time to just do this comic, right? And let's say you work on it for like 3 months, and 3 months in you're like, I feel like I'm just starting now to get the hang of how to make this comic, and now I want to start over. And then you do, and you like evolve that way, right?
Yeah.
The thing is, like, we don't really have time to fail in our
That's so
personal
true.
work,
Yeah.
because you have so little time that you're like, oh, this is my personal work. I'm going to show off what I'm about. Like, this has to really like blow people's socks off. But really, the magic happens when you have time to play and time to fail a lot, right?
Right.
And I think that's what my senior year was, is like I had all this time to just draw and then look back at the end and be like, what have I made? And then just, you know what I mean? It was like a no pressure situation.
Yeah. I love that feeling of like going under and then coming up for air and looking at what you've done and then like
Exactly.
you're feeling impressed with everything you've made. Like I love that feeling.
Yeah. And 9 times out of 10, you're gonna be stoked that you made something. You know what I mean? Like, could it be better? Yes. Do you know
Yeah.
how to fix it right now? Maybe not. Maybe you do. But the point is, you made something that wasn't there yesterday, and like without fail, that is kind of a good feeling.
Yeah.
That's
And like one of my favorite things, I don't know if you guys noticed this growing up, but like if you start a manga, whether it's Dragon Ball, Naruto, One Piece, whatever, the drawings from tome 1 versus the drawings from tome 28, 50, you know what I mean? The growth is huge. It's insane. Like
Yeah.
the artist gets such a good shorthand, and they get a sense for the characters, and they become so much better so quickly, and it's because they're basically cranking out all these drawings every day.
Yeah, like they're just like doing the output, like putting in the mileage.
Yeah, I feel too that it's like a choice where it's like it's so hard to be good at everything. It's like you know, you're always had to like choose one or the other to kind of like, okay, I'm gonna practice that, but like there's no way that you will, I guess, fully rock them like to like a Kim Young-ji level unless you
That's
really
true.
sacrifice a lot of time and energy. But like, I don't know.
That's a
man.
really good point, Esben. And I think that's something people don't talk about enough, is like, what is the cost of being good? Because being good is like a cool goal or whatever, but then it's like, what are you trading for those powers? Because when I was younger, let's say I was like a little bit more introverted, maybe I was depressed, maybe I didn't have a lot going on in my life, maybe I didn't know how to connect to people. Drawing was really attractive to me. It was like, okay, I can put all my energy into this thing and get good at it, and then get attention, get love, get good results from it, and see improvement. As I get older,
Yeah.
like now that I have relationships, now that I have other interests, now that I'm more extroverted, like I don't really need drawing as much as I did, and getting better at it for me now, because I'm at a reasonably high level. To get to the higher level would require so much more work for such a small incremental upgrade that it becomes literally too expensive, because it's like, I don't want to sacrifice this much time, this much effort. I don't want to be sitting all the time, all that stuff. And so you have to consider that. It's like, what is the cost of becoming great?
Yeah.
Definitely cost everything. Yes.
It's like, you know, you have 2 days on the weekend. Are you gonna sit there and grind your personal project, or are you gonna go on a sick hike with Esben? I don't know. I'd rather go on that hike.
You gotta
So,
go on the
that's
hike.
all I'm trying to
Yeah.
say.
I mean, I think
Just bring
too,
your
like, you know,
sketchbook.
I think too that was, you know, like that was a thing. At least, I don't know. Like, there's been a lot of parts that's been really interesting, and I wouldn't do anything. You know, I wouldn't do it over, but I wouldn't do anything differently. I would
Yeah,
maybe
same.
have made my mistakes sooner and faster. Would maybe
Sure,
be the
sure.
one
Fail
thing.
fast.
Yeah. but I do think like kind of like like just as a bit of info is like kind of getting over here and everything and moving from a different country. So like for those who don't know, I was born in Denmark and
Wait,
I
you were born in
moved here.
Denmark?
Yeah. I was born American.
And you're a 3D modeler?
Yup. Anyways, by coming over
Just
to
trolling.
no, it's all good. Coming over to a new country and having to kind of create your whole circle up again and all that it's extremely taxing. And one thing that I really gained though that I really appreciate to this day is like a lot of the time I would like when I'd kind of like be struggling with something or whatever, I would kind of go out for a hike, and it's just like that's definitely something that's like been super healing, if you can say that. Like also because we live in a fairly big city, I do think kind of like, at least for me, spending time in nature has been a great way to deal with things and to kind of gain a bit of overview and I guess get things a bit on a distance, especially if I was feeling stressed or lonely or whatever it was. Like that's one thing that is helping a lot. So I'm all in for hikes.
That's awesome.
It's always like if I'm feeling stressed or something, I'm out. Like there's not gonna be a couple of days before I'm like out into the hiking trails of LA.
Yeah.
Enjoy that nature before it all burns down.
Oh, we have
I
reached the
think
layer
I'll-
limit.
Oh,
Hey, we got some cool drawings in here.
This is great, yeah.
I think we're running out of white space on the canvas.
Yeah. Some good lighting. Let's see. And the one on
Yeah.
the left there, Ozon, that's dope.
Impressive. Let's see, I'm going to take a minute to answer anything in chat if anybody has any questions for myself, for Kelly, or for Esben. Now's the time. I will read attentively.
I have to do a
Looks
narrator
like people
voice
are
too.
just kind of chilling passively. Oh yeah, I can definitely do that.
Good. It's good. Like I think also like
What champ do you main in LoL?
Ooh, I can
Talon,
take that.
Kitty Talon player.
Oh, you responded already. I like can't see your name because it's like dark blue on black, so it's
That's
like.
true. Oh, we got some questions rolling in. Okay, so Destiny Bob 3. How is Arcane so far? Arcane is sweet. I can't say anything about it, but it's freaking rad. And if there's one hope I have, it's that the infrastructure of the United States of America sustains until we can release it to all people. That is my one hope.
In fact, it just might save the world.
It's cool. It's really cool. Vart Live. Question. To everyone achieve the Riot Splash art look, what would be your most important stuff to keep in mind and the things you struggle the most with when adapting to it?
I guess I can start
So
with this
most
one.
important thing to keep in mind. Yeah, so most important thing to keep in mind and things you struggle the most with.
Yeah. I think the main thing, at least over the years, that I've had to kind of like go in and spend more energy on, and also I think that I see a lot of people that are, training and working up to be the next generation of splash artists, is perspective. And I know that probably Kelly and Victor was like, yeah, he's probably going to say perspective.
Yep.
But it's
Esben is
truly,
probably going to say perspective.
yeah,
Ellipses.
ellipsis. But yeah, honestly, like it's huge, and it definitely does a lot, and it applies to the whole picture. And I feel that there's a lot of younger artists, including myself, who kind of skips a bit over perspective and the fundamentals of perspective when kind of like drawing and learning this stuff. And I think that's been and still is one of the biggest things that has definitely leveled up my art a lot. So I'd say perspective, but I'm
Well,
really excited to
Bot
hear what you guys
Live,
say.
I hope that answers your question. If you don't get your ellipses right, Esben is coming for your ass. What about you, Kelly?
What's the question? What to keep in mind and what did I
So,
struggle with?
most important thing to keep in mind and thing you struggle with.
Ah, man, that's so broad.
We also have 100 questions, so if you want, we can also move on to the next one.
Okay, I feel like just never underestimate the power of drawing because
Oof, that is a good one.
drawing is
Okay.
like everything. Like
Yeah.
even if you don't draw, you're still drawing when you are starting because you're designing contours, and contours are like the key to everything.
That is a really good point. My mornings look something like this. I wake up, I stretch, I go for a walk, I have my coffee, and I say to myself, God damn it, I should be better at drawing. It would solve all my problems.
Dito. Drawing is huge.
All right.
Good.
BKK
good
Art.
answer.
Hi guys, love your work. Do you have any advice on books, resources, exercises to improve the perspective and composition and make it more dynamic? Do we all agree that we can just say framed ink?
Yeah, framed ink and also this on frame perspective. I'll throw it over the camera right here. I knew that this would come, so it's
Nice.
like I was ready.
You were ready, baby.
Yeah, but frame perspective and framed ink are insane. Definitely.
Very
Must.
thorough. All right. Janishi. Have you ever had any injuries from drawing?
I
Yeah.
can take this. Yeah.
I get tendonitis all the time.
and it sucks. It sucks so much.
It
Tendonitis
does.
here too.
Yeah. Although to be fair, I'm a gamer too, so I play a lot of games. So that
Yeah.
might.
The combination of being an artist and a gamer is so unhealthy. It's incredibly unhealthy. And if you don't balance it out with physical activity, you're going to be in a world of hurt.
Yeah.
I basically complain about back pain all the time. I'm doing a lot better now because I started working out my glutes. Turns out my butt had turned into jello from sitting for 20 years. And so doing some squats has done wonders for me. And I switched over from the Cintiq to the Intuos for my elbow and my wrist. But yeah, take lots of breaks. Like, it's hard because once you're finally in the flow state, you like look up and it's been 5 hours. But for the love of God, just get up out of your chair and stretch.
Yeah.
All right.
I have a question from my stream, real quick.
Yes.
Question to the artist from ChooseOS. What goes on in your mind mid-drawing?
Shit.
That was a cool one.
Oh, that's hard to explain. I feel like it's
It's a
like
good question.
it is. I feel it's like it's kind of like, oh man, that's hard because it's kind of like, like you see the wheels turning of a car, but you don't see everything that's going on within the engine and everything. And I don't know, like when I'm watching somebody like Kim Young-ji draw, I feel that exact thing is happening. I'm basically just scratching like the area of knowledge and everything that he had to like be able to learn and do and think about in order to do that. So I don't know, like when drawing for me, it kind of goes in stages. Like one part will be perspective and the overall form, and then shapes will come in, and then likeness and stuff like that, and appeal kind of starts to hit in. But it's a lot of different kind of stages, that's been practiced over the years, and then kind of like comes up, I guess in the some of it becomes conscious, other things is unconscious because it's been practiced a lot. So, but what about you guys? How does it work with you?
That's a pretty good answer. I would say that it's pretty similar for me, where I'm like rapidly cycling through all of the tools in my tool belt, so to speak. So while I'm drawing, it's like line of action, gesture, silhouette, volume, straights versus curves, simple versus complex, like all these things, I'm like just very quickly like cycling through those in my brain as I'm drawing and sort of checking myself. Especially if something doesn't feel right or doesn't feel good, that's when I'll like sort of go down the line and be like, okay, which of these things is broken or which of these things could be improved. That way you're not like, oh, the drawing is bad, right? Like that doesn't serve you and it doesn't solve the problem. So instead, if you approach it like a puzzle and you're like, what is the key to unlock this specific aspect of this puzzle?
Right. That makes sense.
All right, guys, I got a ton more questions. You mind if I jump in on one?
Yep.
All right. Sylvia, please, the secret to post-processing.
Ah, the one and only secret.
Have you
Other
tried
dodge.
the post-processing?
It is most definitely the dodge layer.
For me, if I had to sum it up, it would be probably two things. One, you need to have a very clear visual target, and that comes with research, with reference, most often from either movies or like high-end cinematics, because that's what you want the splash to look like. You want it to feel cinematic, so you're gonna look at something that by definition is that. So that's your visual target. That's very important to have, otherwise you have no frame of reference. And then the second thing is I think about it as massaging contrasts. At the end of a splash, like you've rendered so many things, so many details, so many bits and pieces, that at the end you just need to take a step back and start massaging relationships. Like, okay, the background needs to be a little bit cooler and a little bit softer, or this edge needs to be a little bit harder and a little bit sharper than this edge. And so then you're like, okay, do I sharpen this one or do I soften this one? Both are going to have the same effect, but you're dealing with the hierarchy of everything. So it's about patiently and like sort of carefully massaging all the relationships that you've created.
Yeah, that's a really good answer, I think.
Yep. I think that hits it really well. So in short, there is no secret because it's all interlaced, and what Victor's saying is like you like there is no one thing. You're looking at a picture, and that picture might be different than another, and whatever the picture is showing to you is like this micro balancing. So whatever tool you need to use is, I guess, just to kind of solve like whatever problem that is coming up, like if it's edges or temperature, all that stuff that Victor also said. So I wish there was one button that just said polish, and that would be awesome. I'll get that.
Yeah, you just gotta try to keep a cool head and try to stay in that problem-solving mindset. And don't. This is sort of a trap that I've fallen into, is don't overdo it. Like, just be very patient with the post-processing, because it's really easy to either make a piece with post-processing where like all of a sudden everything sings and everything's perfect. It's also very easy to be very destructive during the post-processing phase, especially with adjustment layers. It's really easy to mess up a lot of the smart decisions you've already made with like one bad overlay layer with a soft brush, and you just destroy all of your hierarchies. So like, just stay focused and stay like one thing at a time, basically, is what I would recommend. One problem I personally have had on splashes is that we work on them for so long in dark rooms that my eye adjusts to the splash, and I constantly darken them, especially over the last week or so. I darken, and then I see it like 2 months later, and I'm like, where'd the splash go? It's like a black screen. And then I like turn the brightness up, and I'm like, oh, there's all the things I painted. You know what I mean? Like, so careful with that.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay, we have a spicy one.
Bring the spice.
Sean
Connery
337, aka Leet. Yes. So Sean, can you tell how much you can make as a splash illustrator?
Nope.
So I think this is a very fair question.
It is.
And it's It's an interesting one because I personally don't know how to navigate this type of conversation. I'm not sure. Like, I feel like it depends on who you're talking to, like their relationship to money, and if they're willing to talk about it. If it's hush hush, I don't know why it would be hush hush or why it would be out in the open. There's like consequences to all these things. Salaries aren't always fair or representative of your value, and so it can be kind of confusing. At the same time, like if I was going to get into art and spend all this investment on improving, like I would want to know how much I'm going to make as an illustrator. I think that's a very fair and smart question to ask because
Mhm.
Totally.
there's a huge upfront cost to becoming an artist. So what I will say is that as a splash artist, you can make a livable wage, especially after like a year or so. I would say my first year, I was making enough to survive, and I didn't have very many expenses, and I was, sharing a house with 6 people, and I was focused on the art, let's say. And like now, 5 years later, I would say I can live pretty comfortably. So I think that's the important part. I don't think you should think that you're going to become like a millionaire becoming a splash artist. Although funny enough, if this is something I think about a lot, and maybe it's stupid to even think about, but if they gave us even 0.001% of the sales of whatever skins they sell that had our splash on them, we could probably retire.
Yeah.
I think another.
So I don't know if you guys want to add anything to that.
I have a little thing. I think one thing too. I'll just add this. Like I think also like if it's if it's for the money, I think definitely there are other jobs that will pay you better. But a good resource that I found what's it called when looking into it was Glassdoor. Glassdoor kind of like
Yeah.
helps you kind of like see different salaries. So Glassdoor is something I would recommend you. I think one thing that's important in this sort of conversation too is that everything is relative. So that means that if you're sitting in Europe and you're looking at a Glassdoor and you're looking at what people make over here, then it might seem like a lot, but there's a difference
That's
in terms
true.
of where do you live and what the expenses are and and tax laws and healthcare. So there's a lot of different elements that really plays in. So I think what's important too when talking pay is also like what the salary I guess is in whatever country that you're thinking about going to and what the expenses are, and I think
Yeah, the
that's
cost of
always
living.
the cost. It's so I think like bringing back the discussion of cost is very important because
That is a
I
very
remember
good point, Esben.
I remember sitting in Denmark and I was like, whoa, they make so much money
Yeah,
in
yeah,
America.
right.
And then I got here and I was like, oh wow, what I thought was a lot is actually like you don't get very far
Yeah.
here with that. So
It
it's
all
like
goes to rent.
California rent is so high.
It just all goes to rent. It's insane.
That's why, I mean,
So,
it's so common for us to all basically bunk up because, like, it's just, at least in California, I feel like it's pretty rare as an artist to not have roommates.
Yeah. I'm doing it for the first time this year, and it is costing more than I ever thought was possible.
But the good news is, I feel like being around people and having roommates is actually a really good and healthy thing because being isolated and by yourself for long periods of time is really bad for you. And I think being around people, like getting used to them, getting used to tolerating other people's mistakes and like like bad habits that you don't like, or like facing your own pet peeves and like learning how to tolerate those things is a really good life skill, and I really recommend it.
True. Yeah, it's funny when I moved to California, I was living with Kelly and our buddy Evan, and like our girlfriends and friends and stuff like that. And it was basically the art house. Like we would go to work and work on Splash, then we'd all come home and like go to the garage and work in our sketchbooks. And I consider that like the golden years of my life. Basically, that was the best
Yeah,
time
those
ever.
are so
Like,
good.
so fun. obviously not everyone can have an awesome relationship with their roommates, but if you can find some good peeps, there's nothing better. Honestly, like
Yeah.
I find myself dreaming of that time quite often.
Yeah, same here. I love those.
All right, let's see. We've got
Bring on the next question.
any advice on what a portfolio for an internship at studios like Riot would contain? I'd rather go down the line and find like slightly more specific questions, because the really big questions is just really hard to answer in this kind of time frame. What's your way of building patience? These days, many of us are losing that thing and want to achieve all so instantly.
It's
feel
a
like
good
that's a good one.
question. That's a really good
Yeah,
question.
I struggle with patience a lot. Although, I feel like patience is like it's something that is a little bit deceptive, because I feel like you have to have patience as an illustrator, but it doesn't. I feel like I put a lot of pressure on myself to have way more patience than I think I think I need more patience than I actually do, because what you need is not more and more patience. It's basically like you have to like find ways to like excite your mind, right? And create scenarios where your like mind is like devouring something like hungrily. Like when I am drawing, is this the right subject, right? We're talking about patience. Is that, did I get that question right?
No,
Okay.
this is awesome. Keep going.
I kind of think of it as like you have to set yourself up at the beginning to like to be able to do something satisfying for a large portion of the work that you're making. And when you run out of that gas is when it starts getting really difficult to finish stuff. So it's good to try to keep that going for yourself as much as you can throughout the piece. So I think that has a lot to do with process. So for me, for example, I start out with a really energetic underdrawing where I can feel really I can get a lot of satisfaction from just creating a bunch of stuff and like throwing lines everywhere and like having this feeling of freedom where I'm just visualizing something in my head and then just putting it on the page, like, and it may not be perfect, but it feels powerful, right? And I love that feeling of like throwing stuff down. And then once I get through that stage, it's like, okay, now I want to set up the next part of the process, which is also going to be really satisfying, which is doing like cleaning up that energy and like organizing it into like cleaner lines. And there's something really satisfying that I like about that, you know, where it's like you're kind of wrangling it in. And the thing that honestly becomes hardest for me in the process is when I'm getting a lot of feedback from people and there's a lot of things that I need to push, but I can't figure out like some natural way that I can enjoy doing that, or if it's like at a weird spot in my process where I don't get that kind of almost like OCD satisfaction of like filling in something, you know, like going in and like filling in all the lines or whatever, you know. And I think that's when I start to struggle the most. But at that point, that's when you need to just start thinking more strategically and become a problem solver. And I think that's one of the more difficult aspects of being an illustrator. It's not like you don't like drawing all day is obviously work and it's taxing, but it can be very cathartic and meditative, and it's honestly feels like a really great life. But when you're an illustrator, you have to like hit the target exactly. Like we need to make this thing look like leather and blue light with this like in this perspective, and you have to get it exactly right. Like you can't like just kind of noodle around until it's right. You know, you have to like actually figure out the right process to do it. And I think that is what is the most taxing about the job.
That is an awesome answer, Kelly. I actually I relate to that in a big way. I think you change your mindset, you change your relationship to time. So exactly like what Kelly said, like if it's a problem that you don't feel like you have the solution to, or if it's something you're really struggling with, then time slows to a crawl, right? But if it's something
Yeah.
you're enthusiastic about, like you'll easily spend an entire afternoon just jamming on it. And then on sort of a larger day-to-day level, I would say that my best work comes from doing like a concentrated 2 to 3 hours, really condensed in one day, and then coming back to it the next day and doing another 2 to 3 hours with a fresh mindset and a fresh outlook. Like if I have the luxury of having that space and that time, I feel like that's when I make my best work. Usually it's not going to come from doing it 8 hours straight, and it's usually not going to come from doing it over 2 months, even though that's kind of what we're supposed to do on Splash. Like I feel like if I can just really stay focused and stay strategic, then that's where the best outcomes come from. And then a lot of time on Splash, I think, is wasted in those sort of difficult middle stages where you have a ton of feedback, you lose your direction, you lose what got you
Yeah.
excited in the first place. Like it's hard to carry that enthusiasm for so long, you know?
So yeah, I think that's like a good case for then trying to be creative with your own process and be like, how can I make like a process for myself that is flexible enough that I can like have fun with it, but also be able to like answer different questions. And that's where people's like various techniques and systems come in. Like some people like to work and like just in paint, and they try to keep all their edges really soft, and so they're constantly just working up edges, and that they really find a lot of satisfaction in doing that, and that's going to actually be really important for the late stages of a painting. So loving edges is going to be a good thing to get you through a piece, you know?
Yeah, that was a really great question and really awesome answer by Kelly there. Okay, let's see. Dan Robb with the heavy-hitting question: who is your favorite Splash artist other than yourself? Well, first of all, I would never say that I'm my favorite Splash artist. But for me, it's Alex, and it's not close.
The king. I liked this comment from Art of Danny. Chen Bear Pig, your art is wonderful. When I grow old, I want to be like you, uwu. And I said same here.
Same. So good. So good. Just to circle back on that question a little bit, I think something that's even a little bit more interesting than picking your favorite is one of my favorite things about the Splash Art team was always to sort of source different things from different people on the team. Like I considered everybody had their own specialty in terms of craft, but they also had their own specialty in terms of passion, which I consider even maybe slightly more important than craft in a lot of in a lot of aspects. And so I knew that if I wanted to talk about portraiture, it would make a lot of sense to talk to Pan because he's very passionate about the way he approaches portraiture. If I wanted to figure out metals, I would go to Alex. But also if I wanted to have like a lighthearted, jovial expression, maybe I would go talk to Esben. And so that was like the cool thing is like whatever it was that the problem was, I always had someone to go to. I think it could very easily be overwhelming to get everybody's feedback on everything, but I really enjoyed being more surgical and being like, what is the problem I'm having and who is the person best suited to solving that issue in an emotional way or in a craft way. And I think ultimately that was like one of the superpowers of the Splash team is that you have access to so much range and so much diversity.
Yeah.
All right, let's see.
Next question.
All right. Sometimes I'm scared because I think my art is not good enough to start working. Do you have any tip about that? So I kind of interpret this question to basically be like, how do you manage fear? Because I think for every artist, no matter what your skill level, you kind of always think that you're not good enough to start working. So I think in a broader sense, this question is just asking, how do you manage fear? and it is hard. I would argue that figuring out how to manage fear is one of the most important things you could do in life, not even just in art.
Yeah.
It's something I think
Mhm.
about a lot. The things that are getting in my way of being the person I want to be, of living the life that I want to live, is fear. And I'm very aware of that. And the hard part is there's no there's no shortcut, there's no easy answer. There's days where I'm just a coward and I can't sit down and I think I'm trash and imposter syndrome and I'm not making the decisions I know I need to make and not eating the right things or doing the right things with my time. And it's humbling and it's embarrassing and it feels really bad and it kind of sucks. And then there's days where I'm really brave, where I'm really able to show up for myself, for the people I love. I'm able to show up at my desk and do my work, even though there's a million things going on in the world. And I don't have the answer for that, but I think you just practice sort of getting up every day, and it's not sexy, but I think I have a lot of respect for people who have the ability to show up. I think showing up is really a lot of the battle, because you can be a really impressive person or make a really impressive painting or have this moment where you're amazing. But I think the hard thing to do is to get up every day, every year, every decade, where you just keep going, where you somehow find the
Yeah.
strength to, if you figure it out, you let me know. But for me, that's the biggest battle of my life, basically, is just that, is dealing with fear.
Yeah,
Can
me
I
too.
be super cheesy here?
Oh yeah.
Please, love the
Lay
cheese.
on the cheese.
Okay, I'm bringing the cheese, but there's a quote that's cheesy, but it gets me every time. And when there's something that's
Cheesy
really,
like Gouda.
when there's something that's really, I'm struggling with or something, I go here. So keep talking, I'll find it.
Okay, we're gonna get some queso fresco from Esben. In the meantime, I'm going to move on to the next question.
Actually, I think I got it.
Oh.
I think I got it.
Hit it.
Okay, it's super cheesy, so bear with it. But honestly, when I'm struggling, I always think of this little moment from Rocky Balboa. It says, "Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place. And I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward."
Yeah.
There it is.
From the mouth of boxers.
Yeah.
They probably know this better than anyone else.
Totally. But it's
Yeah, someone who's literally taking punches to the face all day long. Yeah.
yeah.
That's where you find that wisdom about grit, because grit is real. And when you think about it, compared to a boxer, like drawing is definitely very mentally taxing, but yeah, the comparison is just, it's hard.
Well, ironically, sometimes I find myself envious of people who have more hardship and adversity in their life, because our problems are actually a little bit more insidious. Because since we're not taking punches to the face every day, it's easy to feel like we're doing all right, or like things are easy, or like we can just take it easy and like not upkeep these things. But the problem is, then you wake up 5 years later and you realize that you've become weak and that you've become soft. And I think there's tremendous power in being soft and being gentle, but you also have to cultivate strength and you have to cultivate resilience. And something that I've always sort of despised about myself is that I felt like I didn't have that resilience. Like I couldn't take a punch from life. And it's probably because I didn't take enough real punches. You know what I mean? And so for me, like working out and taking on challenges in my life is a way for me to practice the muscle of becoming stronger
Yeah.
Because otherwise, literally, just gravity is enough to crush you. You know what I mean? Like everything is exerting a force upon you, and if you don't push back, it'll slowly crush you into a little, broken piece of goo. And so I just think it's important and it's healthy to cultivate a sense of strength in the face of that. Just enough.
Mhm.
You don't have to you don't have to crush back. You don't have to punch back. But you do
Yeah.
have to be strong.
I think it has a lot to
Um,
do with it's called self-talk, like inside your minds. Like, how are you talking to yourself? What were you gonna say, Esben?
I just someone from the chat was like, "Fuck, this just got too deep."
That's how we do.
Yeah, that is how.
That is how we do.
Welcome to the.
And we're
Foreground
always
channel.
like this, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
This isn't just for the stream or anything.
Yeah. There is also a comment that says, "It's so chill, just doodling with everyone, watching, listening. It's such a chill Sunday. Victor's Q&A voice was something I didn't know I needed. Lol."
I like to channel, what's his name? David Attenborough.
Oh yeah.
The artists collaborate on a giant white canvas. It is utter chaos. Some drawing fan art, while others draw penises on others' drawings. In time, all the white of the canvas will disappear, and it will be deleted. Unless archived, we will never see these drawings again.
The alpha artist of the group, also known as the administrator, was forced to do what is known as a ban hammer.
Despite his best efforts, he cannot control the flow of the internet. All right, let's see.
Okay, yeah,
Oh,
let's
that's a good
get
one, yeah.
let's get back on track again. It was good. I liked it.
Fox9 said, is it bad to spend a few days on a drawing when you're starting out? You guys seem to make high-tier images in a few hours.
Sorry,
I
what
think we
was the
kind of
question
answered
again?
this one earlier. The question is it bad to spend a few days on a drawing when you're starting out?
No.
And I was just going to say, I think we kind of covered this earlier, where especially when you're starting out, probably want to spend like all of your efforts on drawing and on getting better at drawing. Maybe it's good to push yourself every once in a while and do like a multi-day drawing. But if you're really just starting out or you're a new artist, probably just want to make a ton of drawings, do a lot of observational drawing. In the beginning, I think it's a little bit more about quantity than it is about quality.
Mhm.
Like I think you want to apply yourself and obviously like make the most accurate observations you can. But there's just so many bad drawings that you have to get out that you don't have to. I wouldn't labor on one thing for too long when you're starting
Yeah.
out.
I have something for that actually, if you don't mind.
Please.
I think of it almost as like throwing a ball, where like you get better at throwing a ball by throwing a ball many times. If you sit and try to overthink your throw, it's gonna be really quite a poor throw. You know, if you like sit there and try to like analyze the trajectory of your throw and like try to actually have all of the calculations of like how gravity will affect the ball as it's flying through the air. Like there's so much there. There's so much information within that that if you were to try to go in and analyze and speculate and try to solve it all based on one throw, you're just not going to get very far. So it's better to just throw a lot of balls, you know, instead of trying to analyze one throw and like watch it with a video camera and like try to like figure out exactly all the math about why this throw was bad or this throw was good. Instead, just throw a lot, and then over time you'll start to understand intuitively why this or that is good. And then you can also dive into the theory of it, which is more helpful for communication. Like, I want to be able to communicate these complex ideas about art with other people, and that's where those skills are really necessary.
That is a really great analogy. Thank you, Kelly.
Love it.
Let's see. Oh, okay, we've got another spicy one. Who's the best at League among you all?
Oh,
I think
me
I know
for
the answer to
sure.
this one, but I want to hear. I want to hear your
No.
answer, you son of a.
You son
Oh
of
man.
No, definitely
I'm just
not
gonna
me.
I'm just gonna stay quiet here.
No, I
So
think
do you guys want to hear my take?
Yeah.
yeah,
Here's
bring
my
it.
macro. Okay. In a practical sense, I think Esben's the best. In a theory sense, I think Kelly knows the most about the game and gets frustrated because Esben plays really stupid and reckless, but then ends up winning more. And Kelly knows all the strats and all the numbers and loses more. So it's amazing. And then I'm just trash.
There's
Oh,
definitely
man.
there's a little truth to that for sure.
I mean, let's just look at our MMR, dude. Let's just look at the numbers.
Oh, okay.
Wow, we're actually looking this up. Okay, well, I guess
Well, in
this
terms of rank, Esben hit plat, right? So.
yeah, but
Did
that
you
was
hit plat?
TFT. That's TFT. That's TFT.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
no,
Because
no,
if we're
no,
talking
no.
TFT, it's no contest. We got
TFT is
Diamond Boy
accurate,
over here.
Yeah.
Diamond boy.
No, but we're all like what gold 4.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gold, and I just played mid Cho'Gath and cheesed my way to gold.
Very good, very good.
I would say
Yeah, Esben
though
has a
that
mean Warwick. I will say that pound for pound, like Esben's Warwick is terrifying.
it's also
Yeah.
a lot of hours that's gone on into Warwick, but I would say Kelly is definitely a better all-rounded player than I am, without a doubt.
Oh.
He
That's
can
that's the
actually-
thing too. Is like Kelly plays all the lanes. He plays like tons of different champions.
I'm a Phil player. Yeah.
I'm kind of in between Kelly and Esben, where like Esben like mains Warwick and Poppy and is really really good at them, and then Kelly plays everything, and then I feel like I'm somewhere in between. That is a great question. All right, let's see.
I think that, so. Someone said it's kind of ironic that Esben has that like play style and I have the opposite play style, even though I was the one that gave the example about the ball. And like
That's
I feel
true.
like the reason I know so innately about the ball example is because I am the guy who tries to analyze the ball. And try to figure out- I literally that's why I know so much about it, is because
love
that's my issue. Yeah.
That's so funny.
But that's wonderful too. When
Okay.
you kind of you learn those analogies and you can talk from experience, too.
That's true.
Yeah.
I feel it
Well, I mean,
makes
that's
it
kind of a
stronger.
fascinating part of life. Is like your weakness has the potential to become your greatest strength because it's the greatest source of adversity and it's the battle that you're fighting every day. So if you overcome it, you actually like almost become a master of that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I think. Like, if I'm ever going through something difficult, like for a long period of time, I like to imagine the type of person I would be if I didn't go through that. And I usually think like, oh, I'm glad I actually went through it.
That is a very good point.
Yeah.
That's a very, very good point. And that's basically what I was saying earlier is like, as someone who hasn't gone through a ton of hardship, I felt like that made me weak in a lot of ways.
Mm.
But on the flip side, as someone who like went through depression, I feel like I have like extreme control over my mind and over my moods
Yeah.
because
yeah.
I'm so aware of all the tools at my disposal to combat those things. So by going through really dark periods, I'm able to like really appreciate life, really appreciate happiness, and really be able to course correct when I'm going down a dark path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very true.
But it's almost like you need to go there sometimes in order to do that.
You
Get
do,
those
yeah.
tools.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing is if you can be proactive and you can not go down a dark path and already know the lesson from it. But that's sometimes
Right.
hard to do.
Okay, I'm
Alrighty.
kind of going through these questions. I'm gonna cherry pick maybe some more interesting ones because we have
Oh
a
yeah.
lot
By
of
the way, how late do we want to go with this stream? Because we did say we were going to 3, and it's now 3:47. So.
Probably log off before, right?
Let's go until 4. Yeah. And then
Okay.
I am
Yeah, we
Did
can
you
wrap
guys
it up
have
very
questions?
hungry.
Do you guys have questions in your chats that you wanted to cover, or is it cool if I can still go down?
I had
Yeah, I
one
can ask.
question. I think we already kind of covered it, which was like a fear, like someone is asking about, they're afraid that their art isn't good enough to start working, and do you have any tips? And I think we've talked about that a little bit already. It's, you really just have to kind of dig in and think about kind of challenging yourself, like do better than yourself. Make that your only objective, is to make each drawing better than the last that you made, and don't compare yourself to others, because it's just paralyzing. Like you can't get around the fact that you need to draw a lot to get good at it. And so doing things that make you overthink, like, oh, should I be doing this? Like, am I good enough? Like, those questions are not helpful, because you've got a long path to walk. And if you're sitting there overthinking every little step, it's just not gonna work. So you really have to try to get rid of that fear, or ignore it.
I think to add to addition to what you're saying, Kelly, I think that for me at least, the main thing with fear has always been like, see where you would be if you do not face it, and I think it's always like, try to face it, like the fear is always there, and it can be there for some time, and it can be there for a long time actually, and I think the main thing is just, when you feel you not when you feel, but try to get to confront it, and break it down into smaller pieces, so it becomes more manageable.
Yes.
Sometimes when it's such a big thing, it can be really hard, but try to break it down and make it into smaller steps, so it's not just like, I gotta make a splash right off the bat, but no, like maybe say for the next 2 weeks I'll just study anatomy, and then the next 2 weeks will be only the perspective, and you break that into small enough sections, and then over long enough time, you'll be able to handle more of the complexity, if that makes sense, if you take it bit by bit.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a really good point, you guys. I think if you're sitting there asking yourself, like, am I ready to do this? Like, you've already gone too far. just go back and start drawing. I don't think I've ever been able to like talk myself out of a negative spiral. Like, you can only work your way through it.
Yep.
I have a pretty good question here. Be curious to hear what you guys think about it. How do you separate your value and self-worth from your artwork?
Oh man, that's that one I'm struggling with for sure.
Okay, same. I was like, maybe you guys have the answer. Like, I don't.
No, I gotta just be honest with you. Like, that's so fucking hard. Like, oh man.
Yeah, I think that about sums it up.
I mean, like, because like when you're working with it too, you're kind of like, you're constantly, you're seeing your work, and you're definitely feeling when something is not up to par with what you have previously created, and it does affect you. Like, it does. You're trying to kind of break it down. I think there's been a couple of lessons that have helped with easing up on it. One has definitely been, do personal work on the side that is not meant to be posted. So that means do something where you have fun, do something where you explore, do something for you and not for anybody else. I think that was one of the tools in my tool belt that has helped reduce that, and has become like a bit of a safe haven where I can just fuck around and do my thing and don't have the expectations and all that stuff on my shoulders. Does that make sense? But yeah, it's a hard one. I would love to say that it doesn't affect me, but I would be lying. So I would love to hear what you guys feel about this question. That's a good question, by the way.
Yeah, I agree. You gotta have like kind of a diary almost, where nobody can see it. It's just like a place for you to like just play and be creative and not worry about what other people think or how it's going to like. I think it's easy, especially with social media, to feel like people's perception of you is like constantly like something you constantly have to manage, and it's just not helpful for trying to improve at drawing. It's a very like improving at art and having a social media presence and being a successful like entrepreneur are two different things, two completely
Agreed.
different things.
Yeah, that stuff is so hard. I basically like, I really want to start doing therapy. I found someone, but they were like too expensive, and I only had like 2 sessions with them. But at the end of the second session, they were like, "So do you need to keep making art, or like why do you have to make art?" And like that's where the session ended, and it just felt like someone punched me in the gut. I was like so much of my identity and my ego and my worldview is like inextricably linked to art because it's what I spent all my time learning. It's what I do every day. Like there's so much wound up in it that I think it would just be so hard to disentangle those things. And ultimately, like I don't want to. Like the same things that torture me about art are also the things that make my life so beautiful, right? And so every activity, every specialty is going to have that where like, okay, if art is my source of joy, it will also be my source of pain. If it's my source of power, it will also be my source of weakness. Like I think it's just the natural sort of yin yang of whatever it is that you do, where if you're getting something from art, it will also cost you. And I think if you can sort of view it holistically like that, it can help you understand those feelings. It might not make those feelings go away. And there's just days where it's just gonna hurt, where you're like, oh, I feel like I can't draw, and therefore I have no value. But on a macro scale, like first of all, you know that's not true, and then the next time you are able to draw, like you'll get your powers back. Like I feel like my life feels like this constant up and down of like I'm a genius, oh no, and like you know what I mean, like just back and forth, like almost every day or like multiple times a day, just alternating rapidly between feeling on top of the world and feeling like completely annihilated. And if you don't enjoy that ride, then maybe art isn't for you, right? Like you just on some level you have to be like, this is you live by the art and you die by the art.
Yeah.
I think one.
But that's a great question.
Yeah, one thing I would like to put into addition there too, something that has at least helped reduce it and make it better, is I think like you know both Kelly and Victor here too. There was a part of our journey where we were putting all of our energy and time into it, and I think that can become a problem, especially because then all of your eggs are in one basket. And one of the things I've learned over the years is definitely like put your energy and time in different areas. Like have friends, you know, have a relationship, that you know deeper relationships. You know, take care of your family, that sort of stuff. It's like so when art kind of like doesn't go well, you have other things that you know you can lean on and that can help you get back up on your feet too, because you're you know you're not just one single atom in the universe. You know, like you're surrounded by so many, and you can't sever yourself from that too. So I think reconnecting back into that has been so helpful, and definitely helped my overall happiness. So I think that's a good addition to like don't sever yourself from everything else in your life. Try to build relationships too.
I'll take it one step further. I'll say that you couldn't separate yourself from everything else if you tried. You are a piece of the whole.
Yeah.
You are a part of this universe, and sometimes you'll feel like you want to detach, but you never fully will. And so you just need to manage your relationship to the world and to others and to the universe. That's all you can really do. You can never subtract yourself from the equation. That took me a long time to realize. Okay, guys, looks like we have 5 minutes. I can either pick one of the remaining questions, or if I get a zinger new question in the next 10 seconds, I'll consider that one.
There's a question in my chat that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good finale question. I didn't mean to put pressure on.
I'll just real quick. Do you think taking a break from social media is a good way to prevent yourself from comparing your art to others, or will it hinder progression due to exposing yourself less to art?
Both.
Yeah, both.
Need balance
Yeah.
to alternate.
I think there's something to be said about input versus output, and you can probably gauge that for yourself. Is your input a lot more than your output? Is your output a lot more than your input?
Yeah.
But I will say that taking a break from social media is a really good thing, especially for me because I'm very inundated and oversaturated with social media because I just sit here in Corona country
Yeah.
and just
Oh my
like do nothing but look at my screen. So
So true.
yeah.
I get addicted to stuff super fast, whether it's screen time, coffee, sugar, you name it, like gaming. And so I constantly have to take breaks on like almost everything I enjoy in life in order to maintain its sanctity and not turn it into like a vapid, bottomless void.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think too that getting away from social media is really good. I had this one moment where I deleted my Facebook and went without it for 2 years before I actually got it back, which was an interesting journey. Caused some pain, but also had some beneficial things with it. So I think it's exactly what Victor was saying. It's like both of them are in unison, and I think the key part is balancing too. And I was definitely I was riding a bit on the wave of like social media is horrible and
Right.
and I was like nah, like it's also like it's here in the world and kind of like it's not going away anytime soon. It's kind of like trying to close the barn when all the horses have run out. It's like it's not that helpful. I think
I like
Damn.
that.
I think
That is
the
amazing.
but it's out, it's out, and it's the farmer boy coming up in me, but it's
Yeah.
that's sort of like it's fuck, I lost my train of thought, but it's that sort of thing of like it's there, and now it's the question also like how do we balance it and how do we use it? Like it's
Yeah.
nothing is bad of itself. It's also like the usage of it. So
That's true.
It looked like there's a pretty interesting documentary on Netflix right now about that. It's called The Social Dilemma. I watched like the first 20 minutes of it. It's pretty interesting. I plan on finishing it. But anyway,
Social media is a hell of a drug.
yeah. All right, did we want to do anything else or?
Are you guys down for one more, or do you want to
Yeah.
wrap it up?
I'm down
Let's do
for
it.
one more.
So I'm sort of interpreting this question by Jean A. This isn't their exact wording, but I'll sort of extrapolate. What is something unique that you felt you brought to Splash that no other Splash artists were doing?
Okay.
And I personally like this question because I think that's where the magic happens. I think we're in a day and age where a lot of people are getting really good at not copying. What's the word? At like
adapting to the style.
reproducing style effect. The style of Splash and like hitting the materials and all that stuff. But to me, the real magic happens in like innovating and like what is the new thing that you're adding. So I'd be curious to hear you guys' answer for this one.
This has always been a tough question for me because I feel like craft-wise, I was never really adding much to the team. Like I always felt my craft was one of the worst of everyone on the team, and I had a lot to learn. So craft-wise, I wouldn't say I add too much. I feel like maybe the way I think about problems has been good for the team. So like I think I like to simplify things down and make them really easily understandable and like almost like one line in like one-liners, and I find that to be really satisfying and easier for me to think about. So the ability for me to do that, I think, has been good for teaching, helping people understand certain concepts. But I think maybe my storytelling has also contributed a bit. I think maybe some of my splashes have like a certain attitude or story that is not in some of the other ones. But it's hard for me to put my finger on, and I'm by no means like I want to like I don't claim to be like better at storytelling than anyone. I just feel like I have a certain style of doing it that maybe is a little bit unique.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, this is not meant to be like a bragging thing, but it's more like how do you feel and what do you feel like you brought? Like it's a personal thing. Like I don't think anybody thinks that you are claiming superiority by saying that you bring a certain
Sure.
sensibility to the storytelling. What about you, Esbo?
That's a hard question. I don't know. Probably just.
I mean, did you bring the most excited yordles? Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, but I do.
You brought
but
the
it- but
yordles.
I brought
People.
Yay! No, I don't know. Like you did, you did Dragon Trainer Tristana before I joined, which was pretty cool, and I remember looking at that one a lot. I do think that brought a little bit of cuteness, at least with the opportunity of BMO. I feel I could put a lot of myself into that. So maybe there's some cuteness.
Yo,
maybe...
the turtle in BMO is 100% Esben move. That turtle is iconic.
Thanks. So I think some of that. But honestly, it's a really strong team, and I think that whatever I brought was also amplified by the people I was around. It's just a very special team, honestly. And but I think maybe some cuteness. I do know that with Horace on the team, we're now 2 that can do that, and he's incredible. And he loves the yordles too, and I love that we have that in common. So yeah, I guess that would be my guess.
That's awesome. That's a really good point. I feel like the splash team is really good at having this sort of rippling effect where someone will do something like a little bit different, and it'll inspire the next person to carry that torch, so to speak.
Oh yeah.
Which has always been really cool. Speaking for myself, I think there was like a couple moments where I felt like a small sense of innovation. I think Elderwood Hecarim at the time, it's funny to look back on it now because it's very commonplace now, but back then the idea of changing his size was like unheard of because Hecarim is like the size of a horse. And so I was like, what if he was a giant forest god? And it's like I actually had to go into meetings and have discussions with people about like I think it would be way cooler if he was really big. And
that's
back
true.
then, stylistically they were like, well, we don't want to like misrepresent the product, and I mean they were valid concerns, right? We were like, we've never done this before, like is it okay?
You kind of were the guy that started the scale, because we started doing that a lot.
Because like I mean, for example, like Alex painted Malphite huge, but Malphite in the lore is huge, and so I think just changing the size of a character based on a skin fantasy was still new back then. Since then, I mean, you look at basically every skin splash, like Warwick, the Lunar Revel Warwick is huge, and the Godbreakers or whatever they're called, they're huge. Like we have a lot of giants now, which I'm very happy for because I love giants. But so that was kind of a small win for me, and Hecarim was also one of the first sort of flat widescreen. Like if you were picking a camera lens, it's basically a widescreen instead of a close-up. And that's to get to get the sense of scale and majesty and stuff like that. So I think there was like a lot of what came naturally to me. I was able to pitch in a way that was like that actually made sense. Like it wasn't just me being like, this is my style. It was like, I think making these creative choices will make this product feel better. And I was able to articulate that, and I think it added some depth to our catalog, which was cool. But yeah, I think it's been an awesome stream. We have quite the wall here. Is it possible to like export this or like save it?
Yeah. Okay. You go up to File and then Export. You can export it as a PSD with layers, or as a JPEG, or all the layers separate as images. Yeah, it's a crazy tool.
I gotta save this. Yeah, this has been super fun. Like, if
Yeah.
I can get a little, like 10% more of my Photoshop presets in this, I could see me using this like a lot more for just casual hangouts.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you, everybody. I'm
Yeah,
going
thanks a lot.
to go stretch because I've been sitting here a while.
Big same.
All right, friends.
Thanks to Esben for the idea to like link up and do this short notice. Thanks for everybody for showing up. Thank you, Kelly, and love you guys.
Yeah.
And catch you later.
Yeah, see you around. Have a good rest of your evening.
You too. All right.
Bye,
see you.
everybody.